Welcome into today's call on MTG Insider. I am Simon Nielsen, and we're going to take a look at Mono Green Planeswalkers in Pioneer, or Mono Green Devotion, however you want to call it. It's definitely fueled by Nykthos. Very quick deck tech. We are just looking to play Mana Elf on turn 1, hopefully play another Ramper on turn 2, such as Wolfwillow Haven, so that we can accelerate one of our Planeswalkers out on turn 4. And hopefully keep slamming Planeswalkers. We also, the main thing here is that we have Nykthos, which is going to get powered up by Burning Tree Emissary. Also needs to help find it or help find the Planeswalkers we need. Especially Vivien is very good at powering it up. So you get to points in the game, like sometimes quite early. Especially if you have draws with multiple Burning Tree Emissaries. Like you can play some of these Planeswalkers very early. You can play very giant Hydra, Voracious Hydras. Or you can get some of the bigger stuff in the sideboard with Karn or with Vivien. This deck has almost no sideboard. I have 2 Scavenging Ooze that I intend to board in. The rest of the sideboard is mostly never boarded in. And they're just 1-ups to get with Karn or Vivien. For Vivien, it's mostly Ulamog. As if you have untap with Vivien on 5 and you have Nykthos. The 3 Devotion from Vivien plus whatever else you have in play. Usually enough to get to 10 mana, so you can just float mana first with Nykthos before you -5 Vivien, go get Ulamog, and that's it. And then with Karn, you have like this whole sideboard package of different things. I've tried a lot of stuff, and everything that is in the sideboard right now is there for a reason, and I think it is supposed to be there. So I think all the slots are justified right now in the current metagame. Anyway, we are in a match here, and we already spent 7 minutes. So, oh no. Well, that's really funny. I don't think I can keep this. Like, sadly missing. If I had like a single forest, I would definitely keep it, hoping that the Oath would get me to another one. Because triple Emissary with Nykthos is so good. And we are on the play. We also don't have anything to bring into, but obviously the Oath can find that. It's kind of ridiculous, right, that I'm considering this hand, since even though I can't cast a spell, because I know how explosive it is. Like, if we draw a forest on turn 2, we go Haven on the forest, and then next turn we go Emissary, 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 Nykthos, 7 mana. Like, have 2 Oaths to look for something. And, like, that's just extremely powerful. But the issue is that, okay, well, if you don't draw the forest the first time, what if you draw it the second turn? Well, then we can do this on turn 4, but maybe that's too late already. And we might just not get anywhere. So I think I will mulligan it. Alright, this is just a classic hand. We're ramping out a Karn. Question is what to put back here. Oh, something I didn't mention in my deck tech is that the innovations I've made is to add Tangle Florahedron to the deck. People have had Landwall Visionary in the past, but I've cut some lands and the Visionaries and added the Florahedrons. And what this does is that it increases your it decreases your mulligans. You have a lot more playable opening hands. Because what you really have to do is that you just absolutely have to have a Ram spell by turn 2. So by adding the Florahedrons, you play 16. Plus sometimes you have a hand like the one before, for instance. If instead of an Oath on Nissa, I had a Florahedron, I would have been able to keep that hand. But if that was like, if that was a Lenoir Visionary or something like that, then I would have had to mulligan. So also sometimes just the ability to have the extra land drop, even though it comes into play tapped, is not great for the deck. Can also be very good, especially if you're also playing against a very removal heavy draw. The ability to just play out your land drops naturally, so that you can just hit your natural land drops and just play your Planeswalkers anyway, and extract value from them. I am in the play. I can go turn 2 Haven and guarantee the Karn. Question is if I put back the second Karn or the Florahedron. And welcome in to Gabe. Okay, you're just checking out. Usually the second card is not worth that much, so I think I will bottom it. And I could play this Florahedron out as a land, actually. It wouldn't be the worst. I think I will do that. So I guarantee to have 5 mana to play something like Sky Sovereign. I mean, I have 3 draw steps towards the 5th land, but you can never be sure that it's actually going to be there. Okay, so we're against the Omnath deck. That's been very popular recently. I'm supposed to enchant a forest. So that when I untap it with Nissa, I have more mana. Usually doesn't come up because like you have nothing in the deck that costs 3, either in like the main deck or in the wishboard. Alright. Yeah, so my opponent's deck is playing Omnath and Uro. Like it's very similar to the deck we had in Standard before it got banned. Genesis Ultimatum, Escape to the Wilds, Lotus Cobra, like all that stuff is there. And I have a couple Ugins as well that are important to be aware of. The most important thing you can do with Karn here is to go get Pithing Needle, and you name Fable Passage. So I think I will just... You can also name Ugin sometimes with it. Another thing that's good to get here is Grafticus Cage. It makes it so that Uro can come back from the graveyard, and so that when they cast Genesis Ultimatum, they can't put creatures into play off of the Ultimatum. They still put them into their hand. It's not that good. It's like more of a side thing. But sometimes they can really swing a thing. Because usually when they cast Ultimatum, if they hit Omnath on a couple lands, like that's when they just keep chaining stuff. That's where it gets really dangerous. But if you get that extra turn of reprieve, that might actually help you a lot. I think I'm just gonna get the needle right now. Yeah. Let's just do that, because I know I'm gonna need that, so. Then we figure out what to do next turn. So something that's very important with this deck is trying to plan out like future turns, especially in a spot like this, where I have to minus Karn now, and I have to think about what am I gonna do next turn, and how about the turn after that. As I do that, because if I just plus Karn here to like delay my decision, then I might lose out on the ability to play 2 things that I tutored up next turn if I need to do that. So I have to think about what my opponent will do and what I can do as a response, and it pays a lot to like learn some standard things. Okay. So I think they used 1 Fable Passage now. So usually they play 2 to 3 Evolving Wilds and 4 Fable Passage. So now Evolving Wilds also becomes a reasonable thing to name here. Usually they play no interaction in the main deck other than the Ugin. They might also have a couple Path the Water Whale. But post-board they have Magma Sprays and Radiant Flames. So there's a Lotus Cobra. So I could see myself just go for the boat. Just kill off the Cobra. So one really cute thing is that Karn can crew the boat by plussing on it. And honestly, I think it's really important to just get rid of the Cobra here. So I will do that. But I'm just checking that I don't want anything else. There is this Uro, which hopefully I can go get a cage when time is due for that. We're probably still just gonna needle the Fable Passage at some point. But I hope they don't go Omnath into another fetch land. Like Fable Passage or Evolving Wilds. That are quite fetch lands. This looks a lot like Omnath. They also play Teferi actually as interaction. It's worth noting. Yep. Hopefully we can find the Hydra of the... there's the... Wilds. Okay, so I have to hope for no Escape to the Wilds. That would be the worst thing. Because they can cast that off the 4 mana here and then make another land drop. Okay, just second Omnath is fine. So if I can find Hydra of my oath, that would be really good. Alright, second Karn, interesting. Does that do anything? I suspect no. Because we can't both Hydra and go get the Grafticus Cage. So I feel a bit punished for taking the Pithing Needle here. So that's a quite interesting thing about this deck, right? Having to plan ahead and get something in advance that you don't know whether you're going to need or not. I think at that point in the game, I was on the play, right? Yeah, at that point, I did not know they had Uro. Well, I know they had it in their deck, but not that they had it in their hand. The issue is also they can cast Genesis Ultimatum next turn. I think I have to start off with Oath and then see where it goes. Alright, there's a Vivian that also answers the Omnath. Another thing we could do, actually, is to plus count on Sky Sovereign, use Vivian to plus on the Sky Sovereign too, to make it, and then like we just keep it back. It's gonna be like a 7/7 blocker. It's pretty bad against the Fairy, which you could name with the Pithing Needle actually. Okay, so this is interesting. It's really bad against the Genesis Ultimatum though, because the Omnath is still gonna be in play. But the upside is that then I get to just get Ulamog next turn. I think we have to deal with next turn when it comes. And so right now, I think I just go Vivian, use it to kill the Omnath by minusing. And we just have to deal with that later. But if this was a Grafticus Cage, it would have been so much better. Because their Genesis Ultimatum wouldn't work. What do I name here? Could still name Fable Passage. It's not the worst name. Other possible names are Teferi and Ugin. I think I will name Fable Passage. I also have to watch my clock actually, because I was late 5 minutes, so. Next turn, the Nixthos here taps for like 3 mana essentially, because I have 5 Devotion. So I could get something large. Like a God Pharaoh statue, maybe with Karn. You can also get a line. You can get the Hedron alignment, which is exile all creatures with power 5 or greater. And so I can get rid of Uro that way. And that wouldn't be the worst. Okay, I'm very happy to see that it's... Okay, so it is a Rolling Wilds, sadly not Fable Passage. But maybe that's okay. So, when Nixthos taps for 5 mana, these havens are essentially going to be free, because I put them on an untapped land, and they provide an extra devotion, so as long as I played them before. So I have 5 mana with these two, so I have 8 mana this turn. So I can play Karn and Hedron alignment. And so I think I'll just do that. Exile the Uro, put 2 counters on my Sky Sovereign. So I start by... Well, might as well start here. I wonder if I'm just supposed to put them on the same land. I can put 2 of them on this land, and that would work. Just because of like Nissa interactions. Because they can't actually kill the land. So we make green, 8 mana, sure. Alright, so now we minus here first, we go get the aligned Hedron network, that's what it's called. And we just plus this Karn, I think. Essentially crew the Sky Sovereign. Makes us some flying attacker. Yeah, the clock is gonna be an actual issue for me this game. this match. Sometimes you get to win really quickly, and sometimes you have games like these where you have to actually like, plan things out a lot. Also, I'm like spending time to explain things, which just definitely doesn't make it better. But we'll make it through. I just might have to cut down the explanations soon-ish. Okay, so Shadow Skull Smashing is a bit scary for the next turn because it can target Planeswalkers. But other than that, there was like a fairly big break of the Escape to the Wilds. One thing you can do is that I can go get Gear Hulk. So I can make the Sky Sovereign, what is it, 8, 12, 14 power? That's not quite enough. And that would require me to be able to crew it, which I don't think I can crack 2 Wolfwillow Havens and play the Gear Hulk. So Teferi probably just bounces the Sky Sovereign. Yep. So I think we go get Godfarer's Gift here. Seems like a good spot to do that. Hello, Gabe again. Okay, how much mana do I have?
Hello.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so Nykthos taps to 7, and then we have 12 mana total. So I can actually go Florahedron, Sky Sovereign, and Godfarer's Statue. As long as I play the Florahedron first. Because basically, like, this is gonna cost 1 less mana if I played before. So that's 8. So the statue. Yeah, this all works out. There's only spells your opponents cast that cost more. Okay. And so even if the Shadow Skull Smashing to kill both my Planeswalkers here, I still have the threat of Florahedron being able to crew the Sky Sovereign. Because they can do that, right? Shadow Skull Smashing here. With a land, yes. They can pay 10 mana to Shadow Skull Smashing for X equals 8. But that would be, I would think I would be very happy with that. And also note that like, you still have 3 lands that are like that are turned off now. And the ability to make multiple land drops a turn is a bit diminished as well, because of the Needle on Passage. So mostly I just have to worry about time here. How are you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing all right. I'm driving to work.
Oh, okay. So I guess it's it might be a bit hard to follow.
A little bit.
Especially since you jump in like mid-game where I just have a ton of permanents going on. But yeah, we were just playing against basically the old standard deck in Pioneer. Like Omnath, Uro. I say old standard deck, it's like from last October when Omnath came out. Like the Omnath, Uro, Genesis Ultimatum, Escape to the Wilds.
Is that deck any good in Pioneer?
Yeah, it's one of the best decks in Pioneer. Which is kind of absurd, right? Because it was, in standard. And it's almost the same day in Pioneer. It also has Lotus Cobalt, Growth Spiral. So we didn't have Growth Spiral in standard at that time, and we didn't have Teferi. But those are also in there. So it's a lot of 2019, 2020 Magic. So opponents in the tank now. They do have like all these extra spells from Escape to the Wilds, but they are quite costly. When Escape costs 7 mana, and all the spells you hit off of it cost extra, it's not actually that good of a deal. So I think they're like trying to figure out if they should just go for an Escape regardless, or if they should Shadow Skull Smashing. if they have an untapped land, they can do that. I also don't have that many untapped lands left, because again, like I cut the Fable Passages, they have most of their basics in play. So they're just gonna Shadow Skull Smashing to kill these two. Okay, that kind of makes sense. I am happy with that. That seems like a fairly good scenario for me. So I should have enough mana to just make 2 wolves and use those to crew. So 7. I can actually make more wolves, right? No, I can just make 2. So I can crew first and then put counters on the Sky Sovereign. That doesn't sound too bad. I think I'll do that. Or I can do 1 counter on Sky Sovereign and 1 on the Wolf. Yeah, I think I like that best, actually. Because with the Godfarer's Gift, that's still going to be lethal next turn in the air. Even if they go Uro here. I guess if they go Uro and flash it back, it's not that easy for them to do that, because again, like they can't get the free card in the graveyard from Fable Passage. So it's actually going to be pretty hard for them to bring back Uro now. Because it's going to cost 5 mana on, like it's going to cost them, what, 11 mana in total to do that? Like to play it and bring it back, and they only have 4 cards in the graveyard right now. So I actually suspect the Needle might be doing some work here. But now we see the Genesis Ultimatum, it seems. No, that's actually... Oh, this might be Ugin. Part the Water Whale. Oh, that's scary too. But luckily we're at 20. But Ugin could actually be an issue here. Since... we would not have much left to crew with. I wonder if I was supposed to only make 1 wolf and then plus Vivian twice on that and sack with Sky Sovereign, but then it wouldn't get the counters. I think counters are very important. Yeah, Ugin leaving me without the inability to crew. Oh, also they also get to kill this Wolf Haven. So actually that would be... Ugin would be really good for them here. Alright, so there's Uro. But again, they can't really bring it back. Unless they have like their last Evolving Wilds. But now the Sky Sovereign is not lethal in the air anymore. Only gets it for 7 plus 1 from the statue. Still have to play another game after this with 8 minutes left. Cycling Raglan Triumph, okay. They do play like 29 lands in the deck, so there are a lot of bricks. The Triumph does mean that they can get back Uro next turn, which could be an issue, but not necessarily. Okay, Giant Voracious Hydra. I am in for that. So we can't use Nykthos anymore, so... Wait, can I actually make it giant? I can make it a 5/6? Actually, this is lethal. I'll just double the number of counters. Crew the Sky Sovereign, and then... Like, they have to block the 3/3 wolf, and they take 7 damage in the air, 2 damage from the other wolf, and then 1 damage from the statue. Opponent's deck doesn't play any interaction, so... Whew. Alright, statue ended up being very important there, I think. Alright, so for sideboarding, we do the classic thing of mono green and Pioneer and just submit deck. We're not gonna change anything. Alright. The send isn't great, but we have Nykthos, which is very important in the matchup, and we have the turn 3 Karn, so we just have to keep this. But they might just Magma Spray my Florahedron. That was a great draw. Another thing that's really important is Hydra killing Cobra, but that is not as easy to do on the draw. But if they play Cobra here, I will just cash in my Hydra as a free mana trade-off for the Cobra. So something I have to be really aware of here is Radiant Flames. So I think I'll play one mana dork here, but not both. So I think I'll play my Florahedron. It might be a bit risky because I could also save it to play it as a land, but I think it's more important that I play the more expensive one. I expect to get Radiant Flames here though, but maybe not. It's just important that I also like, play out some stuff in case they have Omnath. Okay. Yeah, because it's kind of awkward because you have to decide between playing around Radiant Flames, which is to hold back, or playing around Omnath, which is actually to develop the Elf, because that would allow me to play Hydra for X equals 4 and eat the Omnath. If you're very lucky, they might have neither.
So is that where we decide what they have more copies of?
A little bit, but also what's the worst thing for us, like the worst thing to happen. Because if I play the Elvish Mystic and they sweep everything, then I'm stuck on 3 lands. I have nothing else to ramp me, and so I might just like lose the game on the spot because of that. Whereas if I keep the Mystic, at least I have the 4th mana guaranteed for the Karn. The second thing is that even if they have Omnath, I have 5 mana next turn, which is one of the key spots I wanted to get to, so that I could go Karn for Pithing Needle to turn off their Fable Passages, which makes Omnath a lot less terrifying.
Alright.
Right now, I might just go Karn to go get... I might still get Fable Passage, get Pithing Needle for Fable Passage, honestly. But I think I will go get... Let's see if this even resolves. They might negate it or something. It does. I think I'll go get Darksteel Citadel here. And then I will just play out the Elvish Mystic. And if they have Omnath Fable Passage here, then just so be it. I already played my land drop for turn. Oh, they don't have another land. The Growth Spiral into no land is big game here. Let's see if that's the sweeper now, or just Omnath. This looks like Radiant Flames, yeah. But now that I get the Citadel, I think it's fine to play into the sweeper there. I think I just get Needle now. Because they're missing lands, so like just shutting off 4 lands from the deck, I think is actually quite important. I might just play a Hydra as a 6/7 next turn, but it depends on what happens. They probably like do some sort of interaction. Or an Omnath. Yeah, Omnath means that I really have to hope to draw a land here. But I can't get like another Darksteel with Karn, so that's out of the question. Alright, untap land. Burning Tree, it's not quite the same, sadly. Because I only have 1 devotion right now. So it doesn't bring my devotion count up. So I think I'll just have to go Burning Tree here. Into Hydra. And just double the power on the Hydra. Plus Karn on nothing and pass turn. Hoping that the Fable Passage shut off is enough to keep this Omnath tame. And also the fact that they might not have lands in hand. But they have like 29 lands in their deck, so like they drew a card of Omnath and a card for turn, so they could have easily have like 2 lands in hand right now. if they play an Uro or something. It's like, it's not that unimaginable. At least next turn I can make quite a big Hydra if my board isn't interacted with because of Nykthos. Or I can go get the God first. Oh no, Lotus Cobra is scary. And Evolving Wilds, probably game over. So it's already you can hit both with a needle, but you usually play 4 Fable Passage and 2 to 3 Evolving Wilds, so it's okay. Like, you just name Fable Passage always, and then if they have the Evolving Wilds, then so be it. But now they're gonna get like 9 mana, so it's probably gonna be too much for me. Yeah, because Ultimatum with these in play, so that's probably, if they hit any land, Karn is gonna die to the 3rd Omnath trigger. At least this Fable Passage is turned off, but they also hit a 2nd Cobra, so they have enough mana now to just play another Ultimatum if they want to. Or they can like play in Get Back Uro. There's a lot of things they can do. And I know they have spells in hand, because they missed their land drops, so. Luckily, the Omnath only one of these triggers actually do anything. I wonder if I shouldn't have played the Leather Elves out, like the 3rd Mana Dog out, together with Karn that turn. Because actually, once I get the Darksteel Citadel, I have enough to Hydra for 4, which is the crucial spot because you need to kill Omnath. And I get to not get wrecked as hard by Radiant Flames. That's possible that was a mistake, because if I could have developed like after that Radiant Flames with 2 Elves and the Pithing Needle, then when they play Omnath, I can just eat it with Hydra, and this wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been as bad at least, because they wouldn't have had Omnath in play. Oh, luckily my 6/7 Hydra matches up well against the Fable Passage, the 6/6 land there. So that's at least something. Panther Water Whale is quite strong in this matchup. Giving that extra turn they need before I lock them out. In a lot of cases. Also the fact, like, because oftentimes they play Omnath and they can't do that much with it, and so I get the chance to kill it. But if they go Omnath into Fable Passage and Panther Water Whale, and then it gets on-tapped with Omnath, which is like the dangerous spot. Okay, well at least these 2 Fable Passages are turned off, because otherwise we would be very, very, very dead. But I guess it doesn't really matter if we're just a little bit dead or super dead. Because they can play this other Ultimatum now. And they still have another land drop in the bank. And then they can probably end up Shadow Skull smashing. Oh, I don't think they should have played this Fable Passage, but it's their loss. Because they had enough to play Genesis Ultimatum anyway. No, I think we're just dead. Because they fetch with the Evolving Wilds. That deals me another 4 damage down to... Oh, I just took the damage right from Omnath. Did I? Yeah, I mean, I'm at 12, so I must have just taken 4 damage from Omnath. Or did it just make mana? Oh, maybe I wasn't following. If they can deal me another 4 damage with Omnath, then they put me to 8, and then they kill my Emissary and my Hydra, and then I die. Oh, wait, they also have the Cobra to attack with. Never mind. They just have lethal in play. I completely forgot these have power and can attack. So yeah, they got us. A card you could consider to board in is Scavenging Ooze. I did not talk about that before because my alarm thing. The thing this does is to like deal with Uro, but I don't think it's worth doing because I do not want to make, like, I just don't want to cut anything for it because I don't want to make myself any slower at all. It's really important that I get out of the gates fast. The Omnath thing is very explosive once they get to the like turn 4, turn 5 ish. So you really need to get out ahead of them. If you develop your mana quicker, then like your Voracious Hydras can actually eat their important mana producers like Lotus Cobra and Omnath. And getting the Planeswalkers out early makes them so much better. And I do think all the Planeswalkers are important. The only thing I could consider is cutting a Nissa for an Ooze maybe. But I don't think that's worth doing. Maybe, actually. Ooze is just also a bit, it's not great against Radiant Flames, but it can, yeah, it can also be good against Radiant Flames sometimes, like as a follow-up, so. Depends on how you look at it. Alright, well, I have to keep this hand. It's not great, especially since my mana dork could die. But I have the Karn and, like, I have turn 3 Karn and Nissa, and I think that's just what you have to mulligan for. It's not like this deck mulligan's great, which is part of why I added the Florahedrons, so that I mulligan less often, which is really good for a deck like this, that wants to mulligan for specific hands, but doesn't actually mulligan that well, since it needs a lot of things to come together. Right, so I have to hope there's no Magma Spray here. And if there isn't, then we're probably in business. Alright, this does not look like Magma Spray to me. Unless it's just slow rolling. So I think I'll Karn and I'll just go get the Darksteel Citadel here. So one really cool thing about Darksteel Citadel is that you can animate it with Nissa and then you have an indestructible creature. Could also get something else in case I draw the land anyway. In that case, I would get Needle, I guess. Yeah, getting Needle here is not the worst, actually. Just turning off the Fable Passage before they can use them. But most likely next turn I'll just get the Darksteel Citadel anyway. Oh, Cobra, but nothing else. Okay, so I think here I will go ahead and get Citadel. Play Citadel. Play Hydra. For 2. Fight the Cobra. And I think I just needle the Fable Patch. I don't want to play the Llanowelf because of Radiant Flames. Can we draw land so we can nick those? That works too. That works really well. So we go tap these, play Nissa, untap Forest, attack here, and then we can actually I could just set up to Ulamog next turn, but that's okay. We'll live without it. And now we have something that survives the Radiant Flames as well. Oh, I forgot to plus Karn. That's actually a bit of a dagger, because that means I can't get the Godfarer's statue here. We should be fine anyway. It's just that time pressure that got to me there. So plus on nothing. Activate this. Let's make green. I guess I don't actually need to activate it because I just have plus here and here to make more things survive Radiant Flames. Plus a Darksteel Citadel because it also survives Radiant Flames. And even like I'm also getting. I can probably also cast both Ulamog and Godfarer's statue next turn, but even like despite that, I also just have lethal. So, so yeah, that doesn't really matter. But yeah, you could do stuff like untap Nykthos with Nissa to make a ton of mana. Like next turn here, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. So this forest plus Nykthos makes 11, untap Nykthos. This forest plus Nykthos makes another 11, so that's 22. Plus 7, so I'd have like 29 mana next turn. board.
Wow.
So that's some of the over-the-top things that sometimes happens with this deck. You used to have Ballista in the deck, which was really good because that let you that just really let you use all that extra mana. So you had 1 in the sideboard and 3 in the main deck. But you don't have that right now, and so Voracious Hydra is fine. Like, it's also another way to use your mana, but it's definitely not as great. Anyways, like, Mono Green is still one of the best decks in the format, so I think it's very good that they banned Ballista. Not as much for the Heliod combo deck, that I think a lot of people cited as the reason, but actually just like this deck which would just have been too good. Also let them unban Oath of Nissa, which is kind of nice. Because I think that's just generally better for the format.
Do you think the format is significantly better since those bans, or do you feel like there still could be other bans that would make it better?
I think it was better pre-Theros. I played a lot of Pioneer last January, because I had a Pioneer Pro Tour coming up. And the format was like quite nice. It was very creature-based, because it was like a big mono-red deck and a mono-black aggro deck, and like 5-color Niv Mizzet. Like, those were the top decks of the format, and that was just quite great. I was having a lot of success with Soul Flayer, which is like a very fun, casual-like card, but it was just like very well positioned in the metagame. And that sort of meta, like that sort of format I think would be really good. But then Theros came out and they printed Uro, which is obviously bonkers, and then 3 combo decks. Like Thassa's Oracle to go with Inverter, Heliod to go with Walking Ballista, and Underworld Breach to go with the Lotus Bloom deck. So and that completely changed the format. So once we add like 3 combo decks, then the meta's not quite the same. I expect Harry 13 to be on Sultai, Sultai Reclamation, which is, like, it's basically another Uro deck. It has Uro, Shock Typhoon. Reclamation is not that big part of a deck, but they do have like Sinister Sabotage and Chemist's Insight, but they don't have like Expansion Explosion to go for it. That's also one of the other top decks in the format. I think like Sultai Flash, the Omnath deck, Auras, like black-white or green-white Auras, and the mono-green. I think those are the top 4 decks right now. And then mono-red in like 5th place. Anyway, I think I have to keep this hand. If you have like a payoff and a mana ramp and lands, then yeah, you just have to keep that. And as expected, we see a Sagoth Triumph. So I just lead on the Elvish Mystic. There's a very like scripted just mulligan approach you have to have here. The only difference is if you see your opponent has more than 60 cards, like 64 or something, then it means they're on oops all spells, and you have to mulligan hard for a turn 3 card. Because they can't beat that. Unless they're under play and have their own turn 3. Alright, hitting Letterwolf there is good. Means we can still play Karn next turn. So, against Sultai, there's usually this dance. When they have 4 mana up, I don't really want to play a spell, because I just play into the Sinister Sabotage. And I'd rather wait with that until they also have Chemist's Insight up. But I think in the specific scenario, because I have 3 things to play, I think I'd rather play into the counter magic rather than give my opponent time to find the lands or the counter spells or whatever. So I think I just play Karn here, and if they counter this, that might mean Nissa resolves, and even if it doesn't mean Nissa resolves, then that probably means the second Nissa resolves. But usually against this deck, it can be a good idea to wait until turn 4 with playing your things. Because then the issue is now, the issue is that now they can play Chemist's Insight. Like, they play Counterspell on 3 and Insight on 4, and that's like really good for their curve. But since my hand is like very clunky, I'm only gonna play 1 spell a turn, but I have a lot of spells to play. I think we are better off this way. It's also worth noting that Thassa's intervention was used there. There is some info in that. Probably hints that they don't have another counterspell, or at least it's another intervention if they have one. But they do have the Sabotage. That's okay though, because I have a lot of spells. But sometimes you have hands that are a bit less heavy on like gas. And then that's where you want to try and like maneuver around the counter spells. Usually those also hands where you have a lot of mana, And so you might be able to just like strategically try and play 2 spells on the same turn, or just try and make it annoying for them. If you don't play anything on turn 3, they don't use the mana that well. They can Growth Spiral and they can Shock Typhoon for 1. Alright, so Karn here means that actually, I can go Nissa plus Karn for so much crypt. I think I'll just do that. Because I can go like this. And I think I won't attack for 3 here, because if they have Fatal Push, they would have just killed my elf. So I'm gonna attack for 3, because that damage could actually matter. Karn here, and we go get so much crypt. That was a very like fast decision I made. I'm not sure if I should have paused there and elaborated. Yeah, but so one thing that's really important with Nissa is that you just think about like you want to tap everything that's a non-forest, and so if you have this spot where you have 6 lands, like 6 mana sources, Nissa can essentially like give you 4 mana after the Nissa. So if you know patterns like that, and then like if you have 7, then Nissa can give you. If you have 7 mana sources already, then Nissa can give you 6 after it's played, and so on. Anyway, I'll get so much crypt here, which is meant for almost this exact scenario. So my opponent is in a lot of trouble. 2 Planeswalkers, an Oath can even like find more stuff. And behind on board. The best thing they can do here is Shock Typhoon. I think I'll start by Oathing. And I think I might do here, and it's a bit cheeky, I might minus Karn to go get Needle, and then name Shock Typhoon. But I know my opponent is like a Magic Online grinder. I think they're gonna be smart enough to realize that make the Shark in response to my Needle. At which point, it's not actually that good for me. Especially since we kind of break off this Oath. So, alternatives. I can just animate another forest here and attack for 7. If they make the Shark, then I go get Sky Sovereign. Again, my opponent might be smart enough to know that I have the ability to get Sky Sovereign, but Sky Sovereign still blocks the Shark, so that might just be my line anyway. I just go attack first, and then play Sky Sovereign. Even if they don't Shark, they just take 7. Sky Sovereign also doesn't die to Shadow's Verdict, which is a card that the Sultai decks play main deck now. Exile all creatures with CMC 3 or less. Which is another thing to be aware of. Yeah, I think I might just go for that plan. If I can help it, I'll try to play around Mystical Dispute. Alright, so I think here we just plus on the forest, attack for 7. Not even sure if I play the Emissary or not. But it's probably fine to do. If I attack for 7 to go to 13, they just do nothing and then like just play the Sweeper. The 13, I have 5 damage from the Sky Sovereign. Plus, like if I plus Karn on it, it's gonna be a 5/5 instead of a 6/5. And this is 3 damage, so it's gonna be 8 plus 3 from Hashep plus 3 from Hashep. Can I do both Hashep Oasis next turn? I can only do that if I draw another forest or if I don't animate anything here with Nissa. But I can't, but then I lose out on 3 damage, so that's the same. Oh, so maybe I was supposed to get Nykthos actually. No, I guess it still doesn't tap for extra mana through the Sweeper. Yeah, so I'm just like trying to plan out like what exactly happens if they have the Sweeper and if they have the Shark. Oh, I could go for my Hashep Oasis right now. But then I can still play Sky Sovereign actually. And that means if I get in 10 damage right now, that means that I have Yeah, if I get in 10 damage right now, that would mean that I have an answer for... Like, that means I had lethal next turn through the Shadow's Verdict. So I think that's worth doing. I think I do it on Llanowar Elves. They can Abrupt Decay, which they can Abrupt Decay the land, but it just spreads out the damage better. So, yeah, let's do it like this. Patch up there. Plus on a forest. Even if they get to eat a forest, I still have enough mana to play the Sky Sovereign post-combat. But it also kind of disguises that I have enough mana. Because my opponent knows that I have Burning Tree Emissary, so they have to like... My last card has to be a land, basically, for me to get Sky Sovereign. And that will impact my opponent's decision. They're like, okay, well, they're not guaranteed to be able to get Sky Sovereign, so maybe I can do the Shark right now. Oh, yeah, and if they don't Shark right now, then I can just crew the Sky Sovereign. Because then my forest will survive, so we're fine. Because I realized I do need these forests to crew the Sky Sovereign, I need them untapped. Right, so they are going to go for the Shark here. I'm not going to eat a forest. 13. I think I will just develop this Burning Tree Emissary. And now obviously we don't need to be able to crew the Sky Sovereign because there's no Shark in play. Right now it's not lethal if they have Shadow's Verdict though. Which is a good reason to not play the Emissary. But on the other hand, like, they can do all sorts of other things where just having the extra 2 power in play is fine. And I think we're still okay even if they have Shadow's Verdict here. Like, we get to attack them for 8 down to 5. Maybe put them to 2 life even if you want to. And my opponent just passes again. So they might just have another Shark Typhoon. If they do, they can block the Sky Sovereign. And there's 9 damage here. So we're 1 short of lethal actually. Oh, not anymore. Because now we can put the count on Sky Sovereign so it gets trample. And so they still block 4 damage here, so then they take... Alright, let's see if this resolves first. We're giving trample to the Sky Sovereign. So I'll probably put like a counter here and a counter on this. Okay, so this gets countered, sure. So they might just make a tiny Shark now, which is okay. Can they eat this to take 8, 11 damage? Oh wait, they only have a 1/1 Shark now, so they can't eat anything. So I think we just plus here again. Shadow's Verdict is gonna be fine. Like the mini Shark trump the Sky Sovereign. They take 9, go to 4. We might still have them. Yeah, because the Sky Sovereign is still gonna be in play. And they just have a Fatal Push. Okay. Alright, so now I was talking a lot about Shadow's Verdict. That's like a card that the Sultai decks have started to main deck in order to combat this deck. I haven't seen Blast on before out of that deck. That actually makes sense to have play that card. Because you're a Wilderness Reclamation deck. Because you can see there's a lot of spots where it actually would have been quite good. Also the fact that my Hydra, for instance, is another threat I have that they can just sweep up with the Shadow's Verdict and kill all the lands. And in the mirror I can answer Uro. So it's actually not that bad. But mostly they just like main deck it in order to be better in this matchup specifically. Alright, just the desperation 1/1 Shark to try and find something that does anything. So they usually played like a couple in sideboard, but now they've moved the main deck. At least a lot of people have, so I have to like be aware of it. And then post-board, I definitely have to play around it. Well, doesn't mean you always have to play around it, because they still only pay like 3 copies max in the 75. And sometimes you just have to hope they don't have it. But at least you have to always be aware of it, similarly to how I was always aware of it that game. Okay, well, this matchup you definitely want Scavenging Ooze. These come in, and you don't want the Hydras as much. They can be okay at killing Uro. They can be okay to make a big threat or like kill a shark sometimes. They're really not very good. Another card that isn't very good is, like, I've usually shaved on emissaries. I've shaved on lands. I think actually you can shave on... you can probably shave on lands in this matchup because you still have the Florahedron to make mana. Other cards I've brought in before are... I think I've brought in Serpent sometimes, but I don't think you're supposed to. I think you're just supposed to leave your sideboard as is to make sure your card can get value. Because you really want your card to be like a 2-of-1 that can get 2 threats if you need to get 2 threats. And so the threats you need might vary a little bit. Plus the Serpent still dies to Shadow's Verdict, so it doesn't matter that much. So you can put in Gearhulk, but I think it's usually better to just leave it in the sideboard. Can also come up a lot with both Vivian and Karn, that you just go get that to push for lethal or develop a big board. And again, it's another threat that doesn't die to Shadow's Verdict or Fatal Push. I think the Hydras are some of the weaker cards, but I think I just leave in 3 because I don't want to board out too much gas. And I think I can just cut a land, honestly, on the draw. That's just in general a sideboard tactic in Magic. You just cut a land on the draw. It's totally fine to do. And especially because of the Florahedrons, I do have more lands than I necessarily need. The emissaries aren't great in this matchup, especially because of Verdict, but sometimes they can be very important to just like get out way ahead of them. So if you like get a double emissary draw and they have just some counter spells, then you can like attack them for 4 while they counter your stuff. They can be quite good. Alright, so there's some matchups where I would be thrilled to have this hand. This is not one of those matchups, but I'm gonna have to keep it anyway. Again, you just need like lands, ramp, payoff. And the payoff is like in parentheses, because you only have, like, you have to count Hydra as a payoff, for instance. You only have 16 payoff spells. So you can't mulligan too hard for a Planeswalker. Especially since they are like an interactive deck, they might have Thoughtseize post board. They have removal spells, counter spells and such. Like, they're gonna interact with us, and so the fewer cards we have, the worse it gets for us. We might also be in the spot where we might not hit our land drops. Hitting land drops in this matchup is very important, so that you can still develop Post Sweeper, and there's a payoff. So we play Elvish Mystic here. I suspect this Florahedron will get played as a land, but we'll see. I could see that my next turn will be just Leno Elf plus Florahedron tapped. But now I drew another land, so I'm more inclined to play it out now. I think I actually will. I think it's going to be fine to just get more mana. Not sure. But the fact that I drew the land made me change my mind there. Also, if they have another removal spell, I'd love for them to use it there, because I have more Bannerthorgs, so I really want them to do that. Oh, also, they have Censor in their deck, it's important to notice. So we put this here, and I think we just develop both Leno Elves, so we can play Nissa around Censor next turn. We can also do some silly things if Nissa resolves. Alright, so I'm gonna be very aware of Shadow's Verdict here. Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, one thing I can do, which is a bit cheeky. So, okay, my opponent played a Breeding Pool tapped, right? They don't have Chemis's Insight, they don't have Wilderness Reclamation. They might not have Uro, but that's not a given, because they could have Counterspell on Uro and they would keep up the Counterspell right now. If I slam the Nissa here, and they can counter it, that's not great for me. If I play the Voracious Hydra and they go untouched Shadow's Verdict, I still get to develop a Karn, which is not the worst, but not the best. I am in no position to play this into Karn, because I can't untap that much. It's interesting. I think I'm supposed to take my chance on the Nissa here. And if it resolves, I get to also go Karn and get, I think I'll have 6 mana after the Nissa. Because what I do is that I tap so that I leave up Nykthos. Well, actually, I might tap so that I... No, I can't do that. Yeah, tap so that I leave up Nykthos. Untap this forest. And so that taps for 3 mana. And then the Nykthos will spend 2 of that 3 to tap for 5. So that'll be 6 total. And I'll be able to go Karn and get Heart of Kiran. Heart of Kiran being another thing that doesn't die to Shadow's Verdict. So the upside on this is very high, especially if they just have a Verdict hand, like Verdicts and, let's say Shock Typhoon or something. I think I can definitely construct a hand where the Nissa resolves here. Another thing is that if they have Verdict, I'm not guaranteed to have the Nissa next turn. Downside is that like this would be a good turn for Hydra. That definitely forces out the Verdict, but I think the Verdict is a bit forced out anyway, just from these land wells. Not sure though. I think I'll just go Nissa. So do counter it. If I had the 5th land rolled up, I would have just played the Hydra. Because then I know that if they Verdict, I get to resolve Nissa, and that's very important. Right, so now they do Castle, doesn't do much. So I think we just play Karn here. Oh, we can actually do much more. I'm not actually sure this was correct. So Karn resolves. So we do have 4 mana, but I think I just want to go get Heart of Kiran. Because they can make a 3/3 shark, and I want to be able to block that. Another thing I could do was to get a Stonecoil Serpent as a 4/4, but that dies to Shadow's Verdict, so I don't actually want to do that. I think I'm not attacking here. No, I am. With 1, so I can still crew the heart. Maybe then it's just not worth it. But yeah, what I didn't want them to do was just to activate Castle. But putting in 1 damage just doesn't really change that. If they want a Castle rather than make the Shark token, then they are still just gonna take the 1 damage and do that. I think. I also don't really want them to just eat my land wells. The issue is that if they go Shark into like a removal spell for the heart. Alright, so there's Uro. So that's something I could have played around. I can still get rid of it though next turn, so we're fine. I can just eat it with Hydra. So I don't need my Karn to go and do some fancy things. Because I'm gonna have 5 mana. 6, 7, 8, so I can Hydra for X equals 6 here. Eat the Uro and get in there with the Heart of Kiran. Opponent will be down to 2 cards, which is like not nothing, but it's irrelevant. We're also getting to the point where I might want to name Shark, like get a Pithing Needle for Shark Typhoon. But the scary thing is that they can also just cast the Shark Typhoon, and that wouldn't be the worst in this spot. So I'm not too pleased with that. So they do have 2 spells in hand because they didn't put a land into play of Uro. So that's worth noting. Use the Hashib Oasis. That means I have an extra mana. So I can either make a bigger Hydra, or I can get the Needle for Shark Typhoon. If they just cast Shark Typhoon, I'm gonna get in for 6 this turn, put them to 20, and then next turn, I have the Hashib Oasis. Crew the heart by minusing Karn. I can plus on the Needle, so that's 1, 5. This is 6. So 11, 15, 18. So I'm gonna be 2 damage short of lethal if I get needle and they just hardcast the shark. So I think I just don't want to get into. I just don't want to get into that. The issue is that they can make. No, even if with a land, they can only make a 5/5 shark, so I can at least attack with emissary too. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna eat the Uro. I think I value 1 damage over making a larger Hydra because I expect it to get verdict. That's at least like the easy way that my opponent loses. Or wins, I mean. One thing that's important to notice is that you don't want to plus Karn on hard for 2 reasons. First of all, it's a 2/2, and it's going to be stuck as a 2/2. Even if you crew it afterwards, it's still just going to be a 2/2. And also, that means it's going to be a creature on my opponent's turn, because Karn lasts, you know, both on my turn and my opponent's turn, which means that it dies to Shadow's Verdict. So don't fall into that trap, but it will plus Karn. I have to remember to do that. Yep. This Uro might still like come back later. That could definitely happen. We do very much have the board right now. But if this Shadow's Verdict, then the Uro will die. Okay, another Uro. It's fine. And we also we still have this card. We can just go get Grafdigger's Cage or Tormod's Crypt if you need to. I think I'll just play this Floorhedron. Crew the Heart for 3. Get in for 12, and then decide what to do with Karn. Okay, so opponent thought about playing something that seemed like a removal spell and then stopped themselves. What can we gather info from that? I think that might mean they have Abrupt Decay and Sinister Sabotage, and they realize that, oh wait, they can still use Karn to get something. If they have Abrupt Decay, Sinister Sabotage, their Uro will come into play now. So I do have the very valid option of just doing nothing. So I can't get anything uncounterable out of my sideboard. I don't think they have Shadow's Verdict. If they have, I don't quite percent lethal next turn though, because I decided to do it this way. If I got into 2 extra damage with the Lano Elves, I put them to 8, and then next turn I could go get, like, even if they sweep, I can go get a Gear Hulk and make this Harakiri lethal. I think I will just have to let their Uro get back. They killed the Hydra, I guess. Uro pushed them to 13. Yeah, I think I just minus here. And go get basically whatever, I think. No, I have to make sure that whatever I get here, if that gets countered. Alright, I think I have 2 options here. No, 3 options. I can get the statue too. I don't think the statue is a bad thing to get here. I'm not gonna be able to play it at any other point. Okay, I'm just gonna get statue. Only issue with statue is that I can't play for Thassa's Intervention, but I think Thassa's Intervention is fine because it only puts one card in the graveyard. Okay, it is negate. Interesting. And Grossbrow now. Ah, that makes sense. Okay, so we're pretty close to the Uro coming. Yeah, the Uro's gonna come back now. But we can. They have 2 draws to try and find some sort of removal spell, and if they can't. Okay. It's a lot worse though. If I'd just gotten a Veloski Hulk there, which is the other thing I thought about. Or I also thought of Sky Sovereign. So it's interesting to consider negate. That wasn't actually on my radar. Alright, so they have a land here because it's pulsing. I think. I guess it doesn't work like Arena. We do have like 13 damage just on board. Or at least like if they block the they would have to block the Hydra. So if they just completely bricked here, they have to chump block Hydra on, or they have to chump block the Hydra with Uro. Otherwise, if you just block the Emissary, they take 4, 10, 13 damage, which is lethal. But ooh, that's a really, really good draw. So I guess we just start off by trying to make a giant Hydra here. And if that doesn't work, we do something like, oh wait, I have to do XSQ 6. Okay. Oh, don't know what does this whenever I cast a Hydra. Just like completely disappears from the stack. That's very odd. Also, hello, Jonathan. I haven't actually talked to you yet. Oh, I should probably check the chat, but nothing's written there. Okay, good thing. What is this? Tiny Shark Typhoon. Trying to find an answer. Did not find an answer. Okay. So now we can go get Sky Sovereign, but we won't get into 12. They block here, they take 11 damage. I can sacrifice 2 damage to get +3. I don't think I can do anything to... Oh, Ratchet Bomb. I can go get Ratchet Bomb, Crew the Heart. No, that's still not... Wait, Crew the Heart with this one? Yeah, okay, so actually, I think I'm just gonna go for lethal here. Because they don't have removal spell, they would just kill the Hydra. So I'm gonna get the Ratchet Bomb. Which I put in here for the Auras matchup, but I knew that there was also the application that can kill Shark tokens. This might be a bit... might be a bit too all in. Maybe they actually have the removal spell and they're just trying to kill this. But even then, I think it's fine. I just have Gross Spell, yeah. Because I figured if they had a removal spell, you just killed the 6/7 here. But I guess that's not a given. Alright, and we get there. It's actually perfect timing because I need to take a break now.
So maybe you touched on this earlier. I got here a little late, but do you feel... What do you think the best and worst matchups for this deck is? As a guy, I haven't played the format a ton for a long time, but I used to play a lot of spirits and mono black aggro, but I never really got into the green the green devotion type decks. I haven't really played since pre-Euro, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense. I talked a little bit about the pre-Euro format. But that was like when we talked about like when Pioneer was at its best, and I think that was definitely like a year ago, last January. But as for the matchup spread, I'll have to admit I'm not quite sure. The thing about mono green is that it is like the variance depends a lot on its draw. And so the bad matchups can still be quite good because you can just not draw them and it doesn't matter. Like a matchup like Auras, for instance, is something that's at least supposed to be bad for you, but I've just won it quite a lot, so I'm not even sure that's an actual bad matchup. And conversely, the good matchups, like you can just kind of brick and die. It's a bit harder though, especially with my version with the 4 Hedrons. Because you actually do mulligan quite well with this version, and like, keep a lot of opening hands that are functional. So it's not that hard to just do actual nothing during the game, but sometimes you do like one Planeswalker and that's not gonna be enough and you die. I think one of the better matchups might be Oops All Spells, because, especially since like you will know that they're on that deck. I still have more than 60 cards. I don't know if you're familiar with that deck actually. If you haven't played since January, because that's kind of a new one. Since Zendikar. Hold on. If I just open up Goldfish here and we just go look at Pioneer. This is whoa. Okay, I don't know what I did wrong there. Just a second.
I assume it works pretty similar to Modern's Oops All Spells with like all land or like the spell lands and stuff like that.
Yeah, it does. That's like the gist of it. Hold on, I'll just show you the deck. I think something else I'm kind of happy to play against is I was actually gonna say I beat red decks a lot, but I'm not actually sure that it's a good matchup. Especially like the bigger red decks. The burn decks might sometimes be a bit too fast because they're quite close to the ground, but there are also like this bigger red deck that has come out. That's like Bone Crusher Giant, and sometimes it even plays like Obosh in the sideboard. And the thing about this deck also is that it used to play Collective Defiance, now it just moved into the sideboard, I guess. But there was another like anti-oops tech. When Oops All Spells was really popular.
I'd imagine the red deck's killing your Llanowar Elves is not ideal either.
Yeah, if that happens too much, if they have a lot of shocks coupled with 1-drops, that's how you lose the matchup. But if they can't do that, like it's very easy for you to just make like a semi-big Hydra, like a 3/4 Hydra that eats something, and then that's really hard for them to get through, and then you just lose to that. Or are they all just Yorion decks? Because usually these decks don't actually play Yorion, but okay, I guess they just all play Yorion now. So I guess that makes sense, because then that kind of disguises that they are that deck. Because there's 2 versions. There's one that plays like 64 cards. You have to play more than 60 cards, because you want to jam like 4 Amalgam, 4 Silver Smoke Ghoul, a couple Wellspun Worms so don't take out, like a Haunted Dead. There's like all the, and 4 Creeping Chill as well. So that's like how they win, is that they, just do the Balustrade Spy, mill their entire deck, and they get like all the Creeping Chills, which get back Silver Smoke Ghouls, and they get back Amalgam. They can't win on the same turn, but then next turn they can like Flashback a Despair, which gives all the creatures menace, and just kill the opponent that way. So it's more of like they try and ramp out their thing with like Paradise Druid, Caryatid, and Florahedron. So yeah, they try and ramp it out to like do that turn 3 and then win turn 4 ideally. And but yeah, in order to like put all these, like they have to have these like 15 cards in their deck already, and they also have to have enough lands to cast their spells and the ram spells, and they have to have like the payoffs and such. And they've also figured out that they can use Eldritch Evolution to be additional combo pieces alongside the Balustrade Spy and the Undercity Informer. Because if you have like these, you could just Eldritch Evolution one of the mana dogs away to go get your payoff and win. And then the Yorion versions that go up to 80 cards also have Neo Form. But the ones that are just like 64 cards, they figured out that you don't necessarily need the Neo Form. You can get away with like 12 payoffs. But you can't quite put yourself down to 60 cards because there's just like not enough space to have enough lands, and since you have to have these 15 cards that are just dead draws. So there's like the version that's been figured out to be like an optimal of 64 cards, like maybe 63, but usually 64. The upside of that version is that you get more untapped lands. Because you have like Seagate Restoration, Turn Temple Symbiosis, and Academy's Awakening. These are the untapped lands you play in both versions. But obviously, if you're 64 cards and you have 12 untapped lands, then that's better than if you're an 80 card deck. The upside of being 80 cards is that then you play as Yorion, and it's only for like Smokes and Mirrors. Because if you're a 64 card deck, the opponent will know that you're on Oops All Spells, and so they'll just mulligan for that turn 3 card. But if you show Yorion, I can't mulligan for turn 3 card because you might just be
random Yorion deck.
Yeah, like the Niv Message Yorion deck or the Luca deck. So
they're just trying to win by beatdowns with this deck, or
yeah, you just win by beatdown. You just develop this board of 3-power creatures after you drain them for 12 with all your creeping chills, and then next turn you win the game. Yeah. Usually by giving your creatures manas too can help. But yeah,
the Spirit's a powerful magic card.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that it like finds this niche spot here as just we can mill entire deck. What can we do with that scenario?
Modern, they put Vengevines in and stuff. Obviously, Vengevine's not legal in this format.
The version is very different because it's like so much faster. Because the
usually kills you the same turn, pretty much.
Kills you the same turn, and they can also like play the things turn 2 sometimes because they have spirit guides and
right.
whatnot. And their Rambish is better because it's like Pentat Prism and such. Okay, that was just Oops All Spells decks. But yeah, that deck has actually like kind of trailed off from the metagame a little bit. We've had this like 4-color Omnath deck be a really big deal, and yeah, they all look something like this.
I haven't seen this deck.
Yeah, this is basically like it was played in Standard until Omnath and Uro and Escape to the Wild got banned. So it's kind of funny that it's like just a Standard deck. Just adding the Growth Spirals and just Fairies that had just rotated, but yeah, still Lotus Cobra. But basically, I don't know if you have like experienced the Standard version of this deck.
I've watched it. It didn't look fun to play against.
Yeah, it's kind of explosive. It does stuff. But yeah, just like chaining through your deck with these draw 5s, hitting land drops with Cobra and Omnath out, so like keep just playing more spells, and you just get very explosive once you get to the turn 4 and 5 mark. This deck had in the past played Fae of Wishes. That was again when Oops All Spells was like really popular,
right?
As another way to like beat that, but they've turned away from that and kind of like congealed towards like pretty much everyone plays something like that looks like this.
It's
If there's any point in paying like Field of the Dead, so this is a Pioneer, right?
Field is banned in Pioneer.
Oh, well, crap.
Yeah. Otherwise, they definitely would.
It feels pretty free when you're playing Uros and stuff.
I think that was one of the earlier bans actually of the format. Because also Hour of Promise is in the format, so that's too good with Field of the Dead. That's what it
did they ban it early and then like unban it to try it? I can't remember.
Yeah,
that was historic. That was historic.
Yeah, historic. Okay, yeah.
And then they banned it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have this.
Heading there modern too.
Sultai Breck deck that I've usually been beating, but I think a lot of the top matchups are just quite close, and I think I feel a bit favored against Omnath, against Rek, against Auras. I'm supposed to be unfavored, but I win a lot anyway, so I'm not actually sure that it's that bad. And now I have added Retro Bomb to my sideboard. This just looks like pretty much like they used to. Just figured out to put Stronghold Serpent in their deck.
Probably dependent on their nut draws, how fast they are. It's probably a race.
Yeah, actually, the thing they're most dependent on is Grispoon, and in small extent, Stonecold Serpent. That's where Retro Bomb is really good. To actually kill Grispoons or Serpents, to get rid of the evasion. Because like you can just produce a lot of chump blockers with like Brain Tree Emissary or Nissa Lands or whatnot. And then you can, like eventually with Coin, you go get Aligned Hedron Network. That's the one that exiles creatures with power 4 or 5 or greater. So this is just like a sort of sweeper thing that you just get rid of all their things, and they're like none of their protection actually works. The thing they can do is that they can like Alseid to give protection from white to their creatures, so it knocks off the auras and the creature survives, but then that's usually still fine for you.
Right.
But if they have any sort, because you can't block flyers, and obviously like a giant trampling Stonecold Serpent is also an issue. And if they get to do that, they get to mow down your planeswalkers. But if you can just chump so that you can set up your Karn to go get that, or you set up your Vivian to go get Ulamog and such, then that's how you actually win. So it comes down a lot to the evasive part. There's also like sometimes gets into sort of weird grindy games with Luras where you can bring in scavenging moves that can get very good in those games. Well, it's a weird one, but I'm not actually sure like what I would say is like the best matchup and the worst matchup, honestly.
Probably very dependent on land where I was living. I would imagine how good
Yeah.
your games go.
Exactly. Like, yeah, again, Burn is another matchup that like supposed to be bad, but I still win it like half the time. So it's I'm not really sure if there's anything that I like. Oh no, I hope that I don't face this one because
Right.
yeah, it comes down a lot to the draw and like if the opponent has the answers or not.
If you do your thing, you're probably pretty favored to win a lot of the time.
I think maybe Spirits might be a bad matchup because the Flyers.
That's a deck I've played a lot of, but Emerald Spellcaller is really good.
Spellcaller
I'm
just beat
against
down.
another Danish player here. All right, well that's a lot of ramp. We just have to hope this Oath get there. But you have to keep these hands too. Like basically, like the blueprint is 2 lands and ramp, and then hopefully a payoff. But you don't have to. You can't ship this hand. You just have to hope to draw the payoff. But if I didn't have the Oath on this, it might actually have been fine to ship it. Also, it seems like we're on the mirror here. Oh, and there's the Nissa, and we're gonna play turn 3. So I think I'm just gonna Haven here, because that guarantees Nissa next turn. No questions asked. Oh wait, okay, I messed that up. I played a bit too quickly there. They can't interact with my lands, so I should have put both Havens on the same land, so that when I answer with Nissa, I have more mana.
Because that would have been
Relevant.
4, right?
Yeah, now I just have 3 when I answer with Nissa. So yeah, that was a bit of a punt.
I mean, wouldn't you have 6 mana available once Nissa comes into play?
No, because this is I have to type all this to be fine. Like, I mean, the turn Nissa comes into play.
I see what you're talking about.
Ooh, well now I have a lot of mana. So with Nissa here, untap, and we can play the Oath for free essentially. Go get a Hydra. That seems good. Make green, so we play a 4/5 Hydra and we eat the Visionary, I think. Just want to keep them off their mana and make sure you develop a board presence so you can pressure their Planeswalkers and yeah, the game is over. The mirror is like kind of stupid, because it's like it's very play draw dependent. And I won the die roll, so like was ahead with the Planeswalker, and then it's also sometimes just dependent on like some person like not drawing with Nykthos and Burning Trees and whatnot.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was turn 3, by the way. That was a very good turn 3. That's it. Like the draw to this deck, you can just have some absolutely busted starts.
Yeah.
I had last week. I was also playing one of these prelims, and in round 4, I was against the Omnath deck, against a friend that I had been chatting to throughout the event, and we were like, okay, let's play for the 4-0, and then like we actually got paired at 3-0. And so in game 3, I opened my opening hand, and it's Elvish Mystic, Forest, Nykthos, Burning Tree, Nissa, and like something else, a Florahedron, I think. And I just like take a picture of the hand and just send it to him, and I'm like, good luck. That's a turn 2 Nissa.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I was on the play even. They can't really interact with that, the Omnath deck. Okay, wait, what was I up against? I was up against the Mirror. That's another scenario where you just like don't want to change anything, because you just need to have all your ramp. So I will just run it back, I think. I'm just gonna like make sure that there's nothing. It's really important to be able to tutor for flagship, so I can't bot that in, but that would be like the main thing to bot in, and then yeah. Can't do anything else. So we just submit here and just roll again. And I suspect that my opponent does the same. He might actually be on my list. He's not a Dane, so.
So, by chance, do you think Dampening Spear would take him down like a turn or two?
Yeah, that's.
Or do
I
you think
actually
it-
considered that briefly. The issue is that also it also affects me. So sometimes it's just gonna be a dead draw because I can't play it if I have Nykthos.
Okay.
And that's, Yeah, I think that's just too much. I think also the fact that it's gonna take the spot of a ram spell, like not in the as your sideboard, but as you play, because you on turn 2 you're gonna have to play that instead of a ram spell, and so that also slows you down an extra amount. And sometimes they don't even need Nykthos. They just need to play one Planeswalker, like a Nissa for instance. They can just like play the tap their 5 mana to play Nissa, and then like just still behind, and then the Damping Sphere didn't do much. It also doesn't stop Wolfhaven and the Nissa mana generation. Because the land still taps for 1 mana, but then it just gets extra mana gets added as a trigger basically. So that doesn't work. I think I will have to mulligan this hand. If I had a Nykthos, I would keep. But the fact that I don't have a 1 mana elf is really important in this matchup because they can't get interacted with. I don't have Nykthos, also really important for exposing this, and I don't have a payoff. So even though I do have the lands and ramp, I just mulligan this. And yeah, we keep this. Early Nissa is early Nissa. I think I just bottomed the other one.
So is anyone else excited for Arena being mobile here quickly?
Oh yeah, that should be good.
Like for me personally, I just like since I'm always working, like it'd just be nice to be like, you know, when I'm like waiting in line for like my next load, I can just get right back on the game. So
For sure. Yeah, it's a very big advantage. We drew the forest already, so that's really good. And here's the Nykthos.
Burning Tree no follow-up, so weird.
Yeah, that should have been a mulligan. I can say that for sure. My opponent kept 7, and it's just that. That's just not good enough. I think there is a Llanowar Visionary. Gorgon. Oh, actually, my opponent's not on my list, because they played Llanowar Visionary, and I played Tangle Florahedron. And see, if they had just had a Florahedron instead of Visionary, the hand would have been so much better.
So like, are they playing like just a mono green aggro list?
No, this is also the stock list of this plays Visionary instead of Florahedron.
Huh.
So yeah, it basically like it cuts the Florahedrons and it plays 2 Visionaries and 2 Elder Gargaroth, essentially.
Okay.
Then it has like only 3 Nissa and it has 1 more land. But the Elder Gargaroths are a lot less good now because red is not as popular anymore in the metagame.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising seeing Florahedron actually used. Like,
yeah. I mean, it kind of like surprised me too how good it actually was. But it's just, I think it's because I saw it in some modern ramp deck, and I was like, I guess we could just also do that in Pioneer. Maybe it was in historic. I think it was actually a historic deck I saw, a historic mono green ramp. And I was like, yeah, I guess it makes sense that it's just your ramp creature of choice because it's just so flexible. And the fact that it can also be a land. Well, this might be disgusting. We'll see what I hit off the Oath. But hopefully I hit a Nissa or a Hydra. I'll have to activate Nykthos first this time. Keep one of the Oaths. And we hit Vivian. But if I get Vivian and kill something, it will die. So I think I'll just get Hydra. Make a 3/4. Yeah, this should be
so
good
why
enough.
activate the Nykthos? Nykthos first.
Oh, because I only had 2. Well, first of all, I already had an Oath. I already had an Oath out, so this Oath doesn't make extra mana. And also, I only had the Forest. So, after I played Nissa, right, I tapped it so that I had Nykthos as my only land untapped. Untapped the Forest, which only produces 2 mana. So if I play the Oath first, then I only have 1 mana floating and I can't activate Nykthos. So I have to activate Nykthos first.
Oh,
But
okay.
even if I
Yeah.
didn't have the Oath out, it would not have changed anything. I would have done it the same way.
Okay.
But yeah, that was just like the same thing happened both games. Turn 3 Nissa plus Hydra with the Nykthos.
This matchup
Yeah.
seems very snowbally. Who goes
Oh yeah,
faster?
it definitely
It goes
is.
bad. It goes bad for one person.
Yeah, it does not last very long usually, which is nice because you have like some other match when you play against any Uro deck, like the matches can get really long and grindy, and they like I've definitely timed out with this deck before because of that. When I just started playing it, because like, when you have to plan around your cards, like figure out what to get and like plan out your mana and plan around their interaction and such, and the game just like drags on because they're Uro decks, so they're very good at dragging the game on. Like those matches can take a long time, so it's kind of nice to also have a matchup that's just like, you know, pow, GG. Also, mono red is like kind of nice to play against for the same reason. Sometimes you just get completely steamrolled, but other times like you have to make some very precise decisions to make sure you don't die to the burn spells and that like sequence correctly, so you have some very satisfying decision points. But the game is also over in like 5 turns, so you don't waste too much time on it. Yeah, we will
The first deck they had me.
Alright, so we actually have a lot of time to talk. So yeah, we could definitely talk a little bit more about the Arena Mobile thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like, because me personally, like, I haven't been able to like really use the Mastermind, and like get better and play and everything. So I'm definitely excited for the mobile. I hope it's not as buggy as we're all thinking it's going to be.
It's definitely going to be buggy in the beginning, for sure. Like, there's no chance it's not going to be buggy.
Bugs and then, wizards is a combination.
Mm-hmm. But, so when it comes out, it won't be perfect, but then in like maybe 4 months after, maybe 6 months, like, it's going to be great. So
I don't play too much Arena anymore. I play mostly Magic Online, but maybe if it was mobile, I'd be more likely to play it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also, like, there's another game, Legends of Runeterra, that I just, like, play a lot more because it's on mobile. So
I was thinking about trying that game. I haven't had a chance to yet, though.
yeah, I think you could even argue that it's a better game than Magic. It's really
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't have the same depth. Like, don't do stuff like this in a format like that. You don't have the deepness of it, like the 25-year history cards combined in weird ways, and you don't have. I was about to say you don't have instants, but actually do. So, because it has it has a really good system of that. But anyway, that is a completely different discussion. Derek, are you also a paper player mostly, and that's why you haven't been playing much? Oh, I'd say that's I'm AFK. Jonathan, what do you actually, if you play online mostly, but you don't play Pioneer, like what are you playing then?
I play typically Modern or Legacy. I have a couple Pioneer decks. I just haven't fired.
Yeah, they're just like very old, I guess. No.
Yeah, I play a lot of. I've been playing a lot of the White Red Heliod deck, the Sam Pardee deck, in Modern. It's been really good, and then I play a lot of Shadow decks, which are like varying success, whatever build you have, And then, like I say, I play a lot of Delver, but
yeah, I've tried with to get into Reckless Shadow. It's very difficult to play, I found.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It feels. I played a lot of Grixis Shadow back in the day, and it's like not. No, this it's very. So it's definitely different. Yeah.
Scourge of the Skyclaves just like does something completely different. So how do you wanna?
Yeah, and Scourge sometimes is not very good. I find.
It really isn't. Especially if the opponent has life gain, it gets very tough to try to be good.
Or you're playing against like Tron or something.
You have to play it as a 1/1, and just hope that that's like gonna grow enough and get there, and that it doesn't get bolted.
It's pretty. It's real awkward a lot of times if you're playing against. I don't know, like an aggro deck of some sort that doesn't do, or like Burn sometimes has draws where they don't have. They have like the Inspiring Vantages and Mountains, but they don't have their shots and fetches. So you get these Scourge of the Skyclaves in your hand, and you don't really have a way. Sometimes you won't draw a way to attack their life total, and that's like you said with the bolts, like they're more likely to bolt your Scourge too. So even if you're able to hit them for a point of damage, like it's not usually very good. Yeah. You usually got to point your bolts at the creatures, but I've just found it to be a little awkward.
I do love it when I get to like save a Skyclave or Death Shadow with a lightning bolt, like either bolting myself or bolting them.
Oh yeah, that feels good.
That's kind of nice. Yeah, it's also there's also like the upside of just playing against red decks, and if you just can't get the life total down to 16, and they probably help you do that, and you just have like all these 4-power creatures that kill them, or 4 toughness creatures that kill them very quickly. Definitely also has had some upside, but then all other times against those decks, you just draw like Bowman Curios and Fault Seizes, and you just Battle Rage, and they just don't really combine well.
I know a lot of the lists have cut Bomat here lately for just go back to Soulscar Mage. I don't know if it's right or not, but Soulscar certainly has some value.
It does, but actually I don't think the Swissberry is that good, like the prowess part of it.
I don't
it
think
might just
so
be because I
either.
keep playing my spells post combat because I forget about it. But
Yeah. It's
I think the 1 point of haste is just so important just to grow the scourges.
Oh, I agree. It's just like the Bomat is like really bad in like creature matchups specifically, especially on the draw.
Definitely is. Yeah, whereas Soulscar Age has some utility, but you don't have that much burn anyway, so you don't use that ability of Soulscar anyway.
True.
So I'm not sure.
True.
I wonder if even like Akum Hellhound could be better. That's something I have considered.
Yeah, that I saw.
Because that one
Doomblade, I
gets
don't
in
know
for
if-
4, and then like you can play a 4/4 Scourge.
Yeah. That card's really powerful. I mean, we're a little low on lands, but that's my only concern with the landfall guys. But
especially fetchables.
yeah,
It's not looking great.
19 lands isn't as bad as like some of like I know Doomblade used to play, or played a deck early on with the Hellhound, and he was playing like 17 lands. I'm like, well, I mean, it's really good if you have the lands, but like a lot of times you're keeping like 1 land, 2 land hands, and like they just might do nothing.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
what's
Yeah, I've
in
also like I actually had my teammates try out their Akum Hellhounds and just figured like they just too often don't do anything as you enter the later game. That's like a big advantage of this deck is that it can actually hang in the late game, whereas the Bowman Courier at least cycles and sometimes even better than that. So
Then I've tried a lot of the black red prowess deck too, which is a little better at grinding than this deck,
that makes
and
sense.
it gets a scourge online a lot easier. But I mean, if your opponent's not doing
Oh, so that version's not like Death Shadow or
no, it's playing the prowess creatures, the scourges, and then I think it has like 2 or 3 Abbot of Carol Keeps too. And then it's just more grindy. It's like I'm trying to think what's in the deck.
I really love the Night's Whisperers in this deck.
Yeah, I've liked them too.
That's
They're
actually
kinda
like
random,
an innovation from the teammate I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Who came up with that Ghoul Ducat on Magic Online. And yeah, it's just like stealing tech from Vintage and just works perfectly because that's like, this deck plays a lot now like a Vintage deck because everything is just 1 and 2 mana.
Oh yeah.
And you just want to like trade. A sideboard card I think is really interesting is Reign of Gore. Both against the Heliod decks. And against our champion in general. Like changing it so that they don't gain 1 life whenever creatures play, but lose a life. Just just like
It has some value against like the Uro Omnath.
and also
too,
the fact that it's good against Uro Omnath. I think like all those things combined, so like this card might actually be quite good.
So why not play like the Eidolon of Great Revel? I mean, that's just gonna attack too many people.
That does some very different things. Like that card is not actually good against the Uro Omnath decks because they just gain like too much life to get around it. Like that card is good. It's like a very different thing. That card would be good against Storm, which is not played very much anymore. I will admit that I think it's something I hadn't considered, but also it's a bit dangerous because you could easily just kill yourself with the Eidolon.
Double red's a little rough too for this.
You probably can't play all 3 Swamps, which I really like to play 3 Swamps so that you can, with 4 Blood Crypt, you can fetch up to get 7 lands to play. That has been relevant. Like kicking Scourge or like just doing Lurrus plus some more spells in the same turn. Even just like bring Lurrus into hand, play it, and get back a Shadow on the same turn. Just having access to 7 mana has been really good for me. And also against the red decks, sometimes I just wanted to fetch Swamp in hands where I'm very heavy on Scourge and Death Shadow.
I think my list has 2 basic swamps.
Yeah, that's like the stock thing, but I've seen other people play 3. Like basically cutting the black cycling land. And yeah, I kind of like the extra swamp a lot.
I could see it.
So you're just more like just a straight up black deck, and you don't really want to necessarily play the red half until later.
Well, the scenario where I fetch swamp is just specifically against red aggro decks where I want to keep my life total high. So I can't necessarily afford Blood Crypt because usually just get Blood Crypt on top turn 1 because you just want to damage yourself. But it's kind of nice to have the other option. But yeah, you're very much a black deck too. You do have like 1 red 1 drop, but other than that, you don't need red early necessarily.
Yeah, I think they're just never fetching for like basic mountain.
And then also having 3 Swarms make your Blood Moons in the sideboard better.
Yeah.
I have right now 1 Pithy Needle, which is the best tag I could come up with against the Belcher decks, which seem to do pretty well.
Are you guys excited for Tybalt's Trickery? The red mana counter spell.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've definitely thought about
Weird.
what if you just have like Stone Cold Serpents and like other like 0 mana things. So you play like 8 0 mana things and like you play 4 triggery and you just get them. And then like there's like 20 big things. You just like try and do 2/2 Ugin or something. But yeah, that's probably not good enough because you just like 40% of the time you don't do anything off your counterspell, and then even the 60% of the time we do hit something big, they can probably beat in turn 2 Ugin if you don't do anything else for the rest of the game. So
Yeah, well, I was just figuring like with the Tibalt's Trickery, you just like they try to like go Charbelcher, and you're just like nope, and like then they're just kind of sitting there with their thumb in the hand,
yeah, unless they hit another one. Oh wait,
Yeah,
if they go Ironcrag Feet, then they can't actually cast the second thing. That's kind of funny. Oh, Tibalt's Trigger is also really good with Teferi, right? Because they
Oh,
can't.
you're playing against them?
Because they can't cast because Teferi means that they can't cast the card off Triggery.
Oh yeah. That card's so weird. I have to read it like 3 times.
Yeah,
to figure out what
it's, so the reason that it's weird is that they didn't want to put Shuffle on it. Because so they didn't want people to be able to just like put something on top of the deck with Brainstorm or something. So that's why they did the like random mill. But it's just Shuffle. Like, come on. It's like that's even faster than just like having to like take out a die and be like, okay, so 1 and 2 is 1, 2, 3 and 4 is 2, and then you roll dice and it's like, oh, and then you mill. It's like such a mess.
Yeah, like they're too afraid of having cards being strong in some instances, right?
Well, in that case, I think it's fine to like make sure that the card doesn't do this thing that it wasn't intended to do, because it very much isn't intended for you to counter your own spell and try and cheat something into play. But it should have either set Shuffle or just be like mill 2, so that you can't set it up with Ponder or Brainstorm or Jace, but you can set it up with like, I don't know, Augury All, like look at the top 4 and rearrange them.
It seems like
think about it. Like honestly, Tibalt's Trickery might even be better to use in like a Arc-like Phoenix Vengevine deck kind of thing. So if you think about it, like you kind of swung off.
That's true,
like
you get
free
another
mill.
spell. Oh, and you get the free mill. That's kind of interesting, yeah.
Yeah, see, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
but wait, hold on. Are you talking about an Arc-like Phoenix and Vengevine deck, or an Arc-like Phoenix or a Vengevine deck?
Oh my god,
Phoenix and Vengevine don't really work together.
They don't really go well, yeah. One needs creatures, one needs non-creatures.
In a way, though, like.
But in either or, that it's.
I don't know. Like, I feel like it could work.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That you're like not trying to hope to hit something big. You're still using 2 cards to get 1 card. So you're down on cards a little bit. But it does absolutely like help you trigger your Phoenixes. You just go turn 3 and like play a spell. Okay. Or even like turn 2, you go like Surgical or something, and then counter it. And then you hit another spell and you mill a Phoenix. Or if you go like turn 1, put the Phoenix in the graveyard. I guess that's really hard to do these days because looting is not around anymore.
Right.
So yeah, I guess Phoenix decks in general without looting.
Like in a way though, like you definitely lean on Manamorphose a little bit though. You know.
Yeah, but that still doesn't get the Phoenixes in the graveyard.
That's
the issue, right? You have to pay 2 mana to get the Phoenixes in the graveyard in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's like Cathartic Reunion, real possibility. And we have many different ways.
That's not great though. Like if you have to pay 2 mana to put them in the graveyard, it's just not efficient enough. I don't think. When you also have to like pay cantrips to like try and find the pieces and such. I think the Phoenix decks just like aren't gonna be the same again. It's only a bit interesting of triggery, but I think it might just be better to be used as a counter spell. I think it is really neat though that against the Belcher decks with Ironcrag Feet that you counter the Belcher and they don't get to play another thing because Feet says you can only play 1 more spell this turn. So that's kind of funny.
So weird. I haven't played too much against the Belcher decks in Modern.
Okay, so did everyone else get bugged out about the call?
No. I think it was your end. You sounded like a robot for a little bit there.
Yeah. We've had no issues.
But I think they keep adding like so many things to cards. You know, it feels like it's a wall of text every card you read.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
they're trying to get around. They're trying to get around everything that you could
Or just
possibly
like
do to
add
break
like
these
some
cards.
cute extra effects. But yeah, I think this set feels like very word heavy to a point where I just think it's too much.
It is.
Well, yeah, they're taking away from the game itself. Like sometimes you can let things be a little broken, you know. Like if you want to also impact other formats, just let it happen in a way. Like
They've taken a lot of flack.
yeah, sometimes like they're like blatantly breaking. Yeah, but then again, like they've been blatantly making like cards like Oko. Like they don't balance their own stats, right? They have like two or three like
the thing to try and avoid,
and
right?
the rest are kind of like
is get stuff like that. But I think a lot of these extra word texts aren't in the case of like, you know, Tibel's trickery to like get around some sort of unintended broken stuff. It's more they just like wanted extra cool abilities on things. Oh wait,
yeah.
Where am I at here? Products, cold time. I'm just trying to find the spoiler.
See, they printed that two mana artifact rock, that non-land permanent card in the graveyards and libraries can enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. Seems like patchwork over like Uro type stuff.
Isn't there like
sounds like graphic
the cards?
Cage.
There we go. That's scroll a lot.
Well, you could play Graphic Cage, but like the problem with Graphic Cage is it's, you know, not very good against anything else that Uro decks are doing. You know.
Wait, is the new rune thing? Is that only opponents?
I don't know.
Because I struggle to figure out like why it's different than. Yeah, it's barely different than Graphic Cage.
It's different.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, there are some differences.
It stops non-creature stuff from coming in too.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. Because Graphic Cage says creatures can enter the battlefield from graveyards to libraries. So this one is better against something like I don't know, Jason Ultimatum into Ugin.
Yeah.
No, because it still stops Storm the same way Graphic Cage does. Because it still says players can cast spells from graveyards, and that's the thing it does against Storm.
Okay.
But anyone like trying to reanimate a Planeswalker or something, it stops that.
I think it's probably more for like Elspeth Conquers Death type stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It stops Elspeth Conquers Death. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, it obviously still stops Escape the same way as Cage does.
They keep adding
Cage is even in standard, right? Is it?
No, it rotated out.
Rotated out. Yeah, that was in the former core set.
That should have been 20.
Yeah, M20. Maybe it was in 19 actually.
Yeah.
The longboat's kind of interesting too. That they it's kind of like Smuggler's Copter, but not really like Smuggler's Copter.
Yeah, it's a bit worse.
I'm gonna be here soon. So I wanted to ask about the new changeover with Insider.
Which one? Oh yes, of course. Yeah, please ask about that. So Travis posted a link to the new site. I actually don't know exactly how it works. If it just puts you straight to the sign up page, or if you have to go through like putting in your email. Because we're doing a thing where like, in order to get people interested, they go to this site where they can then enter their email to get a little booklet with like an article or a video, and that should get them interested to then sign up for the thing. So it's kind of like a multi-step process. So I don't know if the link Travis has gotten, because actually we have Gabe with us here. I don't know if you can talk right now, Gabe, but he's the mastermind of the Insider.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially,
then,
it starts with the ebook. Yeah, just put your email in there, and then it'll take you to the sales page. All you have to do is click the button, and it'll take you to where you can check out, and then you'll be sent an email, and then from there you can join the group.
It's mtginsider.com, right? Yes.
Yes, that's actually changed. So you're gonna want to click Travis's because his is an affiliate link.
Okay. Wait, hold on. So this has changed, right? Because now we don't get. This is not where you get to the ebook thing, right? Oh, it's because I've already entered it on my computer, right?
Yeah. So
Ah.
So when you type it in, it's going to go automatically to the sales page because I don't want people to just search it up and go straight to the ebook. I'm actually running ads to the ebook right now.
Oh, it doesn't even work in. Wait, okay. So you're saying you don't want people to search up and get straight to the ebook?
Yeah, because he wants them to be able to portal in and then also like pay to get into it.
Oh, okay. So it's reversed then, huh?
Yes, it's reversed now.
Okay, interesting. So that way, it just you don't get the free products or like lure people in then, but then you. Because it wasn't.
No,
that,
I'm running ads to that one.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll just let you do your thing. So I guess that makes it easier. And then obviously Travis's link is an affiliate link, which that makes sense. That's better because there's like this referral program, so you'll get it cheaper if you also if you recommend other people to use it. So yeah, Travis put a link up, and that's the one you should use in the Facebook group. I assume you can find it. It's both in the calls and in the actual group.
So, is it a flat rate like the Mastermind?
Yeah, it's a flat rate, 25 a month.
Is it like a flat rate like the Mastermind was?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then also, yeah, you can on top of that buy like actual private coaching.
Is that like a
classes.
monthly payment, like a one lump sum?
It's 25 a month.
Okay. Can you pay like the 300 up front then?
No, it's monthly.
Okay.
Oh, so just like
Oh, wait, that's actually kind of better. You don't have to. Okay.
Yeah, because
cool.
the way Travis did it was like.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because the way Travis did it was, that you like paid for an entire year and then it got cheaper if you did that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't do that here, and it's also like a bit cheaper per month, I think, than the Mastermind. On purpose.
Yeah, because I think I paid 300, and I was like halfway through the year already. I came in.
Oh yeah, there should probably also. I assume that you should definitely talk to Travis about like because the Mastermind is like stopping, so there should definitely be some like sort of transfer period.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him about that.
Yeah, I assumed that it just would stop. Now that there would be no payment that would go into 2021. But then we figured out that actually like people are still paying for January, which is why I'm doing this call, for instance, that I'm doing both on MTG Insider and on the Mastermind. And also because like we have literally no people in the Insider right now because it just launched, so it would be a very lonely call.
Yeah, I just definitely wanted to be able to not lose opportunities, so I just want to see what was going on and how I could re-up.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely,
especially with the introduction of the mobile, like I was hoping to.
And paper coming back eventually at the end of the year or something.
See, like that's what I'm hoping for, right? Like I want to get back into it. I want to start playing, and so that's why I was like really excited about the mobile because it's all working. No.
But yeah, that does come back, and it's gonna function a very similar way. We have 4 coaches. There's gonna be weekly calls from each of us. You can post questions, and we will like bring them up during the call or like answer in the group. All of it is gonna be done through Discord. I can show you the page.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
So we just have like. Yeah, actually, I mean, I actually don't know like what it's gonna look like exactly from the student side, but it's probably very similar. Right?
It looks exactly.
We just don't have like the last bit here, right? Which is just coach stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it'll be a Discord operated.
Yeah, it will be Discord operated because it's a lot easier to like figure out the info than on Facebook. I think.
Okay.
Because you don't have to like scroll through a lot of posts to find the right one. You can just go to like, okay, someone posted an article about like question about standard, and we just like if someone has a question that they're like, oh, I have this deck list. Do you want to take a look at that? And then I can just go in standard and find it, and then bring it up in the call instead of having to like scroll down. And the same thing with like, oh, do you actually have a limited?
Okay.
Oh, we have draft and seal discussion. Yeah, maybe that should also be split in two, but no, that's a minor thing. Yeah, so it's not easy to organize, and just find the things you want to find. And I think so. In the other one, we did it just through the chat, like the group chats. But I think it's just gonna be easy to just have it here, where it's a bit more in the open.
Okay. And then you can still post your links for Zoom meetings and.
Yes, we have call links here, so there's still gonna be over Zoom. We could also do it through Discord, but I think we decided that it's better on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna post the videos here, and then also
Yeah,
again,
I think
you don't have to scroll through. You can just go up here and find like all the replays will be posted here. So.
Okay.
And I'll like post my deck. I'll post my Pioneer deck list here, for instance. And I also have a standard deck list for this weekend, like Mono Green Food, that I think is really good. And I can post my historic deck list as well, and we just like have those posted here, and then yeah.
Now, in the deck list tab, will that be split down by format?
Yeah, they are here. So we have like standard, historic, Pioneer.
Yes.
Button.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. Sorry, it's a little small on my phone.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you think we'll talk about like a spoiler season, like what cards are starting to be good? And
yeah,
whatnot,
definitely. We could like already like go over more spoilers, right now. Though I think my round is starting right now.
Well,
isn't that perfect?
I'm going to get out of here. I need to start getting ready for work and stuff. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll definitely talk about spoilers. Also, like this weekend, there's the MPL matches where they play historic. So I'm probably gonna do next week some look at some of their matches, like really interesting high level play, like watching matches of like LSV versus Polo or something. I guess that one can actually happen. But yeah, just look at like really high level matches from this weekend. Look at how people are sideboarding and what's going on in historic. So that's gonna be what's happening next week. And then I think the week after we're gonna have the full spoiler, and then we can look at the new set and implications. I usually wait with that until we have all the pieces.
Okay. Yeah, like I'm working a night schedule right now. So like 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., which is it's 2:30 right now, p.m. here. So I'm gonna be probably more on your schedule there, Simon.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep them to be 8 p.m. Especially now we're like starting the new thing. We have a lot of new people. I'll try and be a bit more consistent. We should probably also post the call schedule at some point in the Discord. But again, that's
I'm actually gonna make a channel for that.
That makes sense.
That'd be awesome. Now is it gonna be like 8 p.m. your time there, Simon?
8 p.m. my time, yeah.
So that's 8 a.m. here or something like that?
Which
Mountain?
time zone are you in? Mountain time, so that's -8. So that's gonna be noon.
1 o'clock.
It's gonna be noon, right? -8 from 8 p.m.
Yeah,
That would
noon.
be-
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna have to wake up a little bit early so I can jump
private
in and
coaching
call.
someone else who's also Mountain Time, Craig from the Discord, or from the group. So I know that it's -8 because we always communicate through that.
Right on. Yeah, I'll just have to try to wake up earlier so I can hit these calls.
Yeah, definitely.
Like-
I'd love to have you here. That's it's always much better when you actually have discussion going. Anyways, I'm gonna get into my match now, so I don't have to have timeout problems. And here we have the first mulligan we see, because I don't have a mana dork. Now we keep this, because I do have mana dork. I'm gonna put back, I think, a Hydra, and maybe play Hedron as a land turn 1 here. Yeah, I think so, because that just guarantees that I have the 4 mana for Karn on turn 3. So, that's perfect.
Oh, wait. No.
So that's like another big advantage of Hedron, that you can just do this. Oh, Temple Garden. So I guess this must be the Omnath deck. Or maybe it's green white auras. Alright, well, I certainly don't mind having a Burning Tree to go with this Wolf Willow. It's really nice that I have the Razor's Hydra just to eat a SRAM right now. Oh, okay. I have no idea what this deck is. Maybe it's 5-color Niv Mizzet. That's my best guess right now. So I don't know what to get with my Karn, because I don't know what I'm up against. I'm just gonna look my opponent's name up here on Goldfish. Do the little trick here. Advanced search options. Keiyesu. That's like one of the yeah, no decks found. Go figure. I guess I'll just try and change this to a bit further back.
I think it's probably Nib delay.
The big paradoxical outcome in a vintage challenge. It probably is. That's like the most likely thing. It just looks weird because usually they don't start off like Temple Garden Swamp. Okay, they just play a ton of vintage and then they play. Wasn't there one Pioneer here? No, it's just standard. Okay.
They just play vintage.
Mono Blue Devotion back in way back. Okay, yeah. And they play like a lot of paradoxical outcome. That card is legal in vintage, in Pioneer, I mean, but they probably don't play that. All right, so if I'm gonna assume that I'm against that deck, what you can get is Stonecoil Serpent. As that one is really hard for them to answer. So I think I'll just get that right now. And then, because I know I'm gonna get that at some point. Then I'll figure out the rest later. If there's anything else I want to get. Okay, yeah, it is Niv to Light.
Stonecoil Serpent seems pretty good against the 5-color deck.
Yes. The deck that has almost all multicolor spells. Did you have Shadow's Verdict? So they can't get rid of it? Sadly. Alright, sure. I guess they can't, like there's no point in decaying the Burning Tree because the Caryatid just stops that. I could use your Oasis to just like pump my Emissary and get through for damage here. I don't think that would be the worst. I don't think they can actually kill it realistically. Just they don't have another Abrupt Decay up. Alternatively, I play a Hydra that's like a 6/5. I don't really want to play a Hydra right now. But I also don't think I want to waste my land here. They could also run stuff like Omnath. I think I'll just go ahead and attack with both and... not develop anything. Or maybe I will play the Hydra actually. I'm just scared of the Shadow's Verdict, but it's not like the Hydra post Shadow's Verdict is gonna be that good. It's gonna be a 8/9, which is good, I guess. Alright, so what happens if my opponent goes Niv next turn? I can't eat it with the Hydra because I can only make it a 4/5. But having the 6/7 Hydra can attack through it. Okay, I think I'll just play the Hydra out. If they can sweep the board, then they sweep the board. Because I also don't want him to like play a Niv and then be able to stabilize. Oh no! Oh no, that was not the one I expected. But yeah, it does the job just as well. Okay. So we go Karn for Heart of Kiran.
The natural sweeper is pretty annoying. Pretty unlucky.
Well, we can also get the Stonecoil Serpent again, actually. That's fine. Because it got exiled. We can just do that next time, though. Play 6/6 Stonecoil. Screw the heart.
Kind of makes Extinction Event way worse with Karn.
Yeah, that is funny. Hopefully not a Niv now. But if it is, I could also just get Verdoskier Hawk and just make my Heart of Kiran large. Okay, Uro, I'm okay with that. I think. So it's a fairy. Just bounce the heart, yeah. Okay. That happens. I could also get Sky Sovereign now. Wouldn't be the worst. Kills a fairy. Get a flying threat. I think it's quite important to just get Teferi off the board. I think I like that. Alternatively, we get some way to stop the Uro. But the issue is that it's either Thomas Crypt, which is kind of low impact, or we get Graphica's Cage, which can easily be interacted with. So I just don't think that's worth doing. So I think I'd rather just get the Sky Sovereign, play up my Emissary, play up the Sovereign. Sadly, we can't also deploy the Heart. That would have been perfect. But we can do it like this. We have Karn to crew the Sky Sovereign next turn. Alright. Failed passages. Annoying. I was hoping to have one more turn of the pre from the Uro. Could have also been that I should have let the Teferi live for one more turn. Like maybe just get a 6/6 Stone Call would have been better that turn. It's just, I find it very annoying whenever they can go Teferi plus with Bring to Light up. Ooh. Oh, that's not good enough, right? Wait, can I? No, I can't make this large enough. I can kill the Uro though. I just have to make the crate, like the Hydra a bit smaller. And then use the Sky Sovereign. But I can't also play hard still. That's annoying. Because I only have 6 mana. I think it is worth it to trade my Hydra for the Uro though. So I will absolutely do that. And I think I have to plus the Karn on Sky Sovereign. Though it doesn't actually change anything. Because the thing is that I don't want to just kill my Burning Tree Emissary and the Paradise Druid to kill the Karn, but I don't think I can avoid that in any way. Yeah, so I think I just crew with the Hydra. Because that gets me more damage. Well, alternatively, I could just make this a large Hydra. Just be able to block the Uro. That's not the worst. I do think this is better. Alright, so response to the fight, we crew. This looks like a 5-color spell. Yep. So that's probably game. Just they can probably kill the Burning Tree now and then kill Karn. And then I'm in trouble. They hit Uro. Oh, they hit just one spell. They just hit another Bring to Light. Because they probably don't take Uro here. But I can just cast the Bring to Light right away. If they're so inclined. And that seems like exactly what they're doing. They should... No, they can still do this. Yeah, blue and then white here. Makes sense. I wonder if they just get another Niv here. Just to spin the wheel again. But they probably get a spell, then seems better. I just don't know what they can actually get, because they already used their other end, so I don't think they actually have an answer for the Sky Sovereign. Oh, interesting. I think we're just gonna get that 6/6 Stonecoil Serpent and just win the game with that one. 7/7 Stonecoil Serpent. Like, they have to trade off Niv for Sky Sovereign. We're getting 2 damage with the Burning Tree. Then Hash Up Raise is lethal. Because what we do here is that we get the Sky Sovereign, if we get the Stonecoil Serpent, make it 7/7, crew the Sky Sovereign, attack with both Burning Tree and Sky Sovereign, deal 3 damage to Nicol Bolas, and then they're just in a kind of an awkward spot. Like, they definitely want to trade Niv for Sky Sovereign, but they don't want to trade Bolas for Emissary, so they take 2 damage there. And then the 7/7 Stonecoil plus Half-Shape Oasis is 10 damage, so that even through the Paradise Druid, they don't survive. I just have to look what this does again. Draw 2 cards, 10 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Put target creature. Oh shit. Okay, that's. Put target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Okay, that's the dangerous one. Oh, so they can put Niv Miss it back. That's dangerous, but might not necessarily do anything, honestly. But it's also possible that I'm supposed to just not animate the Sky Sovereign yet. Just get my 7/7 reach and then don't do anything else. Then it's just not lethal next turn. Is my issue. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go get it, so. We could get Aligned Hedron Network. Doesn't do it, because it doesn't get rid of the other Bolas. Oh wait, hold on. I can... Okay. I just want to make sure I can still get that one. Because yeah, I really don't want this Uro to come back. No, I think I'm gonna go for the line I sketched out there. Because they'll have to pay 7 mana to flip this. So they can't do that much. And I really don't want them to pay 7 mana to flip it, draw 2 cards, and like not die, and then have another turn to find something. And the funny thing is, everything there is in the graveyard, like they could get back the Uro to gain 3 life. That's like the best thing they could do. Because the Voracious Hydra is like, just like an 0-1. The Burning Tree Emissary would be in the graveyard, but it's multicolor, so that doesn't block either. Oh no. Okay. Awkward.
That was weird.
Yep. Might be like some memory overload, I had to guess. But that's just gonna hurt.
I'm glad you got this sign back in. That's
Yeah,
like the fear.
'cause
You
that-
can't
that-
sign back in with Magic Online after it does that.
Also, it's gonna hurt our clock here because we're already a bit down. I think I'm gonna go for the line here where. Okay, so we're gonna go get Stone Coil, if I'm allowed. I'm just gonna check that it's not still. Yeah, it's still loading, so I have to wait. Otherwise, it just crashes. Like, gets stuck again. This is one of those matchups where I said, well, I've definitely timed out before because it just takes ages. So I try and figure out all these lines. Right, I'll try and click here. Doesn't work because we still have to wait. Yep. But I think my line makes sense here. And it's kind of cute, just like attacking with the Burning Tree into the Niv because I know they can't block that. And kind of the 2 points of damage, which are very crucial for making my Serpent lethal next turn. So this one tap, play another legendary. Oh, the Burning Tree doesn't even die. Alright, so attack with Bolas, they flip it, and then they draw some cards, and we'll see what they hit. I'll play nothing. They can survive, actually, because they can get back my Voracious Hydra. Or the Uro, as I said. They probably get back Uro, actually. But the question is if they're even aware that that's, like, a thing they're supposed to think of. And also, if they do that, I can maybe just kill the Bolas. They put back the Niv. Okay, so that's fine, because I don't think that actually does anything. Because Nahiri... Oh, Omnath does something. Oh, but they can't get Omnath. So they get Teferi and Nahiri and bring to light. Then yeah, that doesn't do anything. Because we just pumped the Stone Coil to 10-10. And that should do it. Nice. Okay, I love that my line worked out though. I feel like that was quite brilliant actually. It was definitely not obvious just to, like, set up to attack with the Burning Tree there, but it was very important.
It is pretty wild that 2 damage ended up really being important.
Yeah, sometimes it is. That's why you have to like always look for it. The thing where like we don't know when the times when like the obvious like because we definitely know there are times where the obvious play is not the correct one, but we don't know like which times it is, so we always have to be on the lookout for it. The same way is like we don't know which times the 1 extra damage matters, so we just have to always like try and get it if we can. And then this time it actually, yeah, we knew it mattered because it was like on the next turn. But then sometimes there's like the thing of, well, do I attack with my Llanowar Elf on turn 2 or not? And you're just like, no, that doesn't matter. But then actually like that could easily matter. Because that was by Xaxes.
It feels real bad when you find out later on it would have mattered had you attacked and you lost because you didn't attack.
Exactly. Alright, so this is another Scavenging Ooze matchup. I definitely want all my Hydras though. What I don't want too much of is just random
I don't think
fluff.
I've ever beaten this Niv deck in any format, by the way, with any deck I've ever played. So
Wow, okay. That's kind of
they always have it all. I don't know. They're a mono good stuff deck though, so they're playing all the colors.
They are, but they're also a bit clunky, and you just have to like realize that they usually only play 1 spell at a time, so you just have to. There's a huge range of what that spell could be, but if you can just navigate your spell to a spot where they can't really like answer anything, it's similar to like beating Control Deck in every format where you just like have to attack them from multiple different angles, and then also you have to accept that you just lose some games to their own deck sometimes.
Yeah.
Less so now that they have Tri-lands. Anyway, winning in 10 minutes is not easy in this matchup. So that's not great. By the way, I kept this hand, assuming the Oath would get me another land. Which it did. Oh, I could just get Nykthos and just have like Nissa be... I think it might be better to get a Forest. Also, so we take less damage, that could actually matter. And also, we could hit a second Nykthos. Man. Rootbound Crack Swamp.
The old Rootbound Crack Swamp. Yeah, they've never had this draw in their life when they play me. I play a lot of Spellcaller too, so like Spellcaller is pretty bad. Like against Niv Mizzet
Yeah,
and
especially Teferi.
Bring the Light. Yeah, and Teferi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Bring to Light too. Sure, that makes sense. Oh, look at this. They just don't even have all their colors now. So we battle and then Karn, and I think we just have to right away go get the Darksteel Citadel, because I think I'm just gonna get it no matter what. And I don't want to risk that my Karn dies and that I risk my land drop and I just sit stuck here with all these Nisses in hand. So I'm just gonna go get it. Yep. And they missed the land drop. Alright. Seems great. Nice. So that's a 4-0. Really good from the last time I did a Pioneer Prelim, like 2 weeks ago, where I went 0-3. But I also went 4 last weekend with the same list as this one, basically. I just didn't have the needle in the sideboard, but I quickly added that to the sideboard.
I was looking at lists and I saw your list on here not too long ago.
Yeah, because I followed last Wednesday as well. So it's really good. I have a Pioneer tournament on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to it.
It always feels good when you get to have a strong performance before a tournament.
Yeah, it can also be like fake confidence though. I'm very aware of that. I've had my fair share of like, oh, I'm 10-0 with this deck online. I just have to play it in the tournament, and then I did that for one nationals, for instance, and then my deck was just absolutely crap, and I just got very lucky to go 10-0. And I also have a PT where that was like over 10 leagues or something where I had like a really high win rate of like 80% or something, and my deck was just utterly unplayable. So
didn't work out.
Definitely happens, but. Yeah, and at least I know that this is a deck that other people play. That's usually how you. That's why it's really good to just like, well, net deck, quote unquote, like just play decks that other people play, because you know they at least have like the stamp of approval, so that if you do well with it, it's like less likely that it's just a fluke.
They got the time put in with the deck, you know.
And then you can, especially if you just like figure out a good way to tune it. I found that there's just like a lot of edges to be gained from that. And this deck is it's just super clean mono green, all 4-offs, 20 lands.
Look very consistent, very fast.
Yeah, the floor heat just make it so consistent. That's like, yeah, I can't sing their praises enough. They've actually been really good for me. And cutting the Elder Gargoyles for Nissa makes sense, because the metagame is just like, just has so much less red, and the card's not even that good against auras. They just go over the top of it.
Right.
And it's super bad against Omnath, and it's not great against the Sultai deck. So I'd rather just have Nissa in those matchups. And also against auras, I'd rather have Nissa. If they don't have a way to get flying, just like the repeated jump blockers.
Yeah. Looks strong though. They're pretty decisive on just about everything that I saw.
Well, I mean that last match, like game 1 there was like.
Oh, the game close. 1 was a grind for sure.
Yeah, that was, you know.
he did cast Bring to Light, an Extinction Event, and Niv Mizzet, and you still.
He triggered Niv Mizzet twice. Like.
He also able to pull it out after that.
He also put Uro into play at some point.
True.
So,
he did a lot. He did the things.
Uh-huh.
He did everything.
They can definitely like, you know, slug through it.
We had nothing on board after the Extinction Event. So.
Yeah, that was not a good one. But luckily it exiled. So.
Yeah, the exile ended up killing him. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's also really interesting, because the way they have to deal with Stonecold Serpent, especially if it's 6/6, so they can't hour it. Usually don't play Hour of Devastation. Right. But like that is Extinction Event or Shadow's Verdict, both of which exile it, so you can just get it again with Karn. And I think that play pattern is actually really important.
I think they have like Fatal Pushes post board, but I don't think
yeah, sometimes they just don't have that many. I guess they can like bring to light for Fatal Push.
That feels bad though.
Yep.
Feels real bad. It looks strong though.
Yeah, it's nice. All right. Anything else we should discuss? I'll give like 10 minutes to random questions. Maybe I should just spend the last bit, if you don't have anything to ask, to just go over the sideboard like things, because I think we actually got most of the stuff. They definitely showcase what the Darksteel Citadel does. You just set yourself up to hit your 5th land. Also, indestructible creature with Nissa can be very important, especially against auras. That's a big deal. So much crypts is just like, especially for Upsal spells, it's very important. But we also had to come up where against an Uro, where we just had exactly enough mana to play Karn. Like we played Nissa Karn and then got the crypt to get rid of Uro. That was a very beautiful line. So just having like that very cheap card makes a ton of sense. And I think it's definitely worth a slot. So the cage does something a little bit different. It can be some sort of extra insurance against Uro, where they won't get to bring that back. Or against the Luca deck, it's very important, because they don't get to put the agent in play from their deck. Or against, as I said, the Genesis Ultimatum deck, you can sometimes get it to lock down the Uro, and then also stop their Ultimatum from being as good, because they can't put creatures into play off the Ultimatum.
That could have came up against the Brindalite stuff too, right? Stop Brindalite cast from the library, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, I think I knew that at some point and then just forgot it. Because I actually, as I was playing that game, I was thinking, oh yeah, we could also get Cage, but then no, that doesn't do anything. Because
the problem is it's weak to a lot of their like random.
Yeah, they could easily kill
abrupt
it.
Abrupt decay type stuff.
Or like just Teferi bounce.
Yeah.
But usually Teferi is not. Teferi's not gonna. Like if they have to Teferi bounce, they have to play Teferi in the same turn as they play Brutalight, because you usually don't leave a Teferi alive. You try really hard to like not let that happen. Or at least if you do, it's because it's already bounced something, and so it's not gonna be able to bounce again. So that's true. Graphics Cage against Niv, very important too. You can also get it to stop Lurus sometimes. It does a lot better job than so much Crypt in those spots as well. And yeah, just complete. Also against Vinota, very important there as well. So just like a lot of random things that it shuts off. So important to be aware of. Pithing Needle. I actually had this cut from the sideboard for a while, as I rarely found it. But it's crept its way back in because of the Omnath deck, as naming Fable Passage just comes up too often. They also have Ugin, and there's another Ugin deck in the format. There's like this mono red Ironcrack feed into Ugin deck. That it's not like Ugin is that big of an issue because Karn and Nissa both line up super well against it, but sometimes it is. And so being able to like just get that out of the way. Also naming Shock Typhoon can definitely come up. You heard me talk about that when I was playing as Sultai. And then sometimes in the mirror, if they have a Vivian down and it's on 5 counters, like you just have to get Needle naming Vivian because otherwise you get Ulamocked. Like that's something that can happen. But usually doesn't matter that much because you should die anyway, because that means you were on the draw. So yeah, and they have nicked those. Damping Sphere is solely for the Lotus combo deck, but it's not like that deck is super popular, but it just like swings the matchup so much to have access to it that you just have to play it. Because that makes your Karn just really good all of a sudden. So usually your plan is to go Damping Sphere, and then if you can, set up to go get the statue afterwards. Because it's also not that easy then to go off on the statue. They usually board in Welt, so you have to expect that your Damping Sphere dies. Heart of Kirin is actually a card you get quite often. It can be very good to defend your Karn against creature decks. Because a lot of times you can play Karn where you have exactly 6 mana. You just rammed into it a lot. Like, you know, on turn 3, for instance, double Elvish Mystic and a Florahedron. That gives you 6 mana to play Karn on turn 3. And have the ability to get like a Heart of Kirin. So you can block their whatever creature they have that they played on turn 2. And also against the decks with Sweepers, it's just like a cheap thing you can get that gets around the Sweepers. And it's an actual threat. So I think the Heart is just really nice for that reason. Anything else cute it does? Yeah, remember to not plus Karn on it, because then it will become a 2/2 Vigilance, and you can't make it a 3/3. I tried at some point to like make it 2/2 Vigilance and then try and crew it in combat, but that doesn't work. It still stays at 4/4. Anything else to mention with Karn? Or with Heart of Kirin? No, there's like the tiny trick where if they go like Rascal's Contempt on your Planeswalker, you can like crew the Heart enough times to kill it so that they don't gain 2 life, but that's probably doesn't come up. That wasn't the standard. But yeah, the ability for it to like be crewed with loyalty is very important. It doesn't line up that well with Karn, because then Karn dies if you're like -2/-2 and then crew a Heart once, and you don't really want that to happen. But with the other Planeswalkers, it's kind of nice, especially with Nissa, because Nissa just doesn't do anything but plus anyway, so it has a lot of excess loyalty. And also the lands can crew the Heart in a pinch. It's worth noting with Vivian, when you crew the Heart, that you want to make sure that you don't rob yourself of the ability to go -5 to search for a creature. because that definitely comes up. The Wretched Bomb is meant for auras. You get to kill Stonecall Serpent or Grisboon, but you can also kill Shark Tokens, which is something that I've thought of and we have seen. I'm not sure if it comes up in that many other spots. Maybe you're searching for it against Mono Red sometimes, but it is a bit slow that you have to like spend an extra turn to charge it up before you kill stuff. So I'm not sure it actually comes in that you search for it in that many other spots, but I think auras is popular enough. Oh, that was my phone. And is challenging enough in that it's actually worth it to run the Wretched Bomb. The Scavenging Oozes, you can get an ooze with Vivian sometimes. It's usually like against control decks when like everything has, because Vivian is not that good against control. Like if they kill all your creatures, she doesn't actually do anything. But then you can like tick her up to like 6 loyalty or maybe even more, and you're just like, well, I just want to get some value out of this card, so you just go get a Scavenging Ooze. Because you don't even have, you might just have 4 lands or something, because all your mana dorks have been killed. So it's kind of nice to be able to find it. I also have found it against Uro in spots like that are similar to that. But usually it's here to be able to board in. You board it in against the Uro decks. Not Omnath though. You board it in against the burn decks. I think it's very good too. Because against the mono red decks, you want to shave on your planeswalkers. Because, especially on the draw, they're not actually that good. You can also, against mono red, you bring in like Gearhulk sometimes. You bring in Stonecall Serpent. You actually have like room to board in creatures against that deck. So that's one of the matchups where I actually sideboard a little bit, especially on the draw, because the planeswalkers are quite vulnerable on the draw, and you just kind of want to play big creatures. That's a much better game plan. But yeah, other than that, like Uro decks, they also come in. And I've toyed with putting him in against auras. I'm not quite sure, but shutting off the lures is actually quite important. So, and also if you kill the Grisboon, being able to eat it out of the graveyard can also be quite important. But I'm not quite sure if that's worth doing. It's also like, since creatures can just die, you chump block a lot, and then eventually you can just make a thing that's really giant. So if they don't have like everything, if they don't have all the auras on their creature to make it giant, then just like a 5/5 ooze can sometimes be big enough to kind of brick wall their attack. Aligned Hydra Network. This is your answer to a resolved Uro. It's also quite important against auras. And in the mirror, sometimes you can get it, like to get rid of like very large Voracious Hydras. And some other random stuff. Like I played against like Stompy with like Steel Leaf Champion and Running Regisaur and such. Like in that matchup, Hydra Network is also perfect. I guess Niv miss it. Sometimes you want to get rid of the 6/6 flyer. It can do that too. So just being able to get rid of stuff. Worth noting, Vivian can put counters on your opponent's creatures. So sometimes you get the Hydra Network and pump up their creature, and then you get rid of more stuff. So that's a backwards way of answering something. It's kind of cute. And I think that's something I've never done before. Oh no! It happened again. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna... I don't want to start up Magic Online again, so I'm just gonna go in here. This is a very secret team site. Mono Green Devotion. Here we go. We just have the deck list here. And what didn't I mention? So talked about the Line Hydra Network with Vivian. Then we have the Sky Sovereign. Very important to go get. Partly against control decks to be able to get rid of sweepers. Oftentimes it kills a planeswalker such as Teferi. It's a common spot that it comes up in, like either Teferi. Or in the mirror, for instance, like just being able to find something that can kill a mana dork. You can sometimes attack into a bigger creature, as you saw where I attacked into the Shark Token, and then I could get the Sky Sovereign to kill that. And then the fact that it survives, like, any sweeper, very important too. So sometimes you just get it, even though it doesn't kill anything against control decks, just to have a big thing. Really important thing about Sky Sovereign is that it's very good with Karn to crew it. You don't need a 3-power creature, you just plus Karn on it. It becomes a 5/5, not a 6/5. It's worth noting, but it still kills something with its axe, or at least shoots for free. Not necessarily kill anything. I think that's what I can say about Sky Sovereign. Yeah. But just like a very important tool to have access to. The Godfarer statue is kind of like an interesting one. Sometimes it's a win more. It's really like, when the opponent mana stumbles and you have like a really explosive draw, you can just get that and just lock them out of the game. I think having that option is to just like completely like leave them with no outs is fine. it's also quite good against the Omnath decks. Again, like you have to have enough mana to do it. It's like this is the Godfather statue is more of like a Nykthos thing, but you sometimes get it without that. But yeah, against the Omnath decks, it's quite good, especially against Escape to the Wilds and Uro and such. Like they want to cast a lot of spells, and it's really hard to do that when all the spells cost 2 more. The same against the Lotus Breach deck, it can be quite good. And I've also had it be fairly good against auras sometimes, because they don't play that many lands, so sometimes they just like miss a land drop and you can go get it. Also against Burn, I've had it where they've been stuck on 2 lands, but had a lot of spells, so been like on a very low life total. And let's go get the statue, and hope they don't draw a land, and then they can't kill me. Also, very good thing with statue is that you just animate it with Karn as a 6/6. So with the, like being a 6/6 and dealing 1 damage to the opponent, just means that it's a very fast clock. So it's also important to keep in mind. And it's just the opponent that it affects. Your spells still cost the same. There's Vertus Gearhulk I didn't mention. So this is kind of interesting because you can get it with both Karn and Vivian. And it actually comes up with both. So obviously whenever you have, like, I guess I could briefly mention Ulamog. Whenever you have Vivian and Nykthos, what usually happens is that you plus Vivian. If you can make it survive, it's really important to like try and prioritize that so you don't attack with your creatures unnecessarily if you can keep them back to block. Because if you get to untap with a Nissa on 5 counters and a Nykthos, usually you'll have enough permanence that you can just tap the Nykthos first. Really important that you tap it first for green. Make 10 mana, and then you -5 the Nissa. Oh, sorry, the Vivian. To go get Ulamog. Because obviously, like, if you -5 the Vivian, it will die if it's on 5 loyalty. And so don't do that first and then try and activate Nykthos afterwards. So you have to float the mana. But yeah, that's like a way that you can just turn Vivian into like a game win very easily. That's like, I think you can do turn 4, like not that unreasonably. It's like, you know, a Burning Tree, Emissary, Nykthos, Vivian, Mana Dork draw. Kind of gets there. But yeah, sometimes you don't have the Nykthos. And so with Vivian, you can just go get Vertus Gearhulk. It actually comes up in spots where the +2 on Vivian is like a bit short of lethal, but you can get the Gearhulk to have that actually be lethal. Or you just want to like provide some more board presence. Especially against red decks, just getting Gearhulk can be very good because they can't really get rid of it, and you make your other creatures hard to get rid of. So it's hard to attack into, and it kills them really quickly because it's so much power on the board. That's also something you get with Karn a lot of times. But in a lot of cases, it's like, just be aware that you have access to like +4 damage out of your sideboard when you're playing for lethal. Like, you saw me a lot of like thinking about like planning, okay, if I attack now, the next turn I add up like, well, I have Hasher Braces and I can like, you know, plus with Vivian, or like I have Karn to go get Gearhulk. Like, there's all these things you can do. Like, you know, haste damage from Vivian, or from this, I mean. Like, all these things that you just like try and add up to like set up a 2-turn lethal is quite important. And the Gearhulk is something important to keep in mind when you try and map out that math. It can also be sometimes you just like don't have a good attack into their big blocker, but then you go get Gearhulk and all of a sudden you can actually attack for quite a lot. And I did not mention the Stonecall Serpent yet. It's another thing you can get as a cheap blocker for Karn. Sometimes you play Karn with only 5 mana and they have a creature, so you just go get the 1/1 Stonecall Serpent and jump block with it. That's totally fair. If their creature is a multicolor creature, that's perfect. If the creature is a flyer, Stonecall has reach. Later in the game, you can just get it to be more big. Against the Niv to Light decks, it's just actual lights out. I think the Stonecall Serpent is just something that's very important to have. Also against Niv to Light, it's a matchup where it's very common that you have a Vivian on 5 that isn't doing anything, so you can just go get a Stonecall Serpent and just try and win with that. Because they kill all your creatures, so the Vivian doesn't actually like have any value except just the ability to search up a Stonecall. I think that covers everything in the sideboard. So yeah, I will sign off here at the 3-hour mark exactly. Thanks for watching.
GG's well played.
Wait, if there's any last questions actually, hold on, because now it's just like dumps out a bunch of information on top of you.
You're good. I've seen some lists with Meteor Golem. How do you feel about Meteor Golem? Do you think it's unnecessary, or is like a catch-all?
Unnecessary is the right word. I think it is useful. I could also mention Great Henge too, as another card I've cut from the sideboard.
Oh yeah.
And there's also Orbs of Warding, which protects you against burn spells. So I'm a bit weak to burn because I have no life gain and I have no like way to keep myself hexproof. But usually what happens with Karn against burn is that you just set up to kill them. You just get like Gearhulk or something, and you just die before that. Or like maybe they're stuck on land, you can get a statue. Like usually that doesn't actually matter that much. to get things recoined. That doesn't answer your question specifically, Meteor Golem. It's just, it is nice to have a catch-all answer, but usually like the Hydra Network and the Sky Sovereign, and like sometimes even the Ratchet Bomb, like you can kind of like
cobble together.
Yeah, you
some
can
way
cobble
to
together
answer
some
everything.
way to like answer what they do, or like they have a big creature you just get that isn't like maybe a 4/4 creature. You just go get Gear Hulk and make like 2 5/5, so that a 4/4 doesn't actually matter, like Omnath and such, for instance.
Right.
I will say Omnath is probably the matchup where it matters the most, and honestly, because of the rise of that deck, I could see the Meteor Golem should find a spot back in the deck. But because being able to kill Omnath is really important, and your sideboard, that's actually like a blind spot of your sideboard right now. The only way you deal with Omnath is just Needle for Fable Passage. But yeah, the Great Henge I found to be not, it's just like kind of expensive to cast. You usually don't have a big creature, and you don't have that many creatures in your deck either, so it just like doesn't...
Say like the extra counters on stuff doesn't matter too much, probably.
Yeah. The thing I would do, like if you have to cut something for the Meteor Golem, one thing you can cut is Ratchet Bomb. Meteor Golem also has value against auras, since Alsate can't protect from it, but Karametra's Blessing and Selfless Savior still helps against Golem. Because Golem is Destroy, right? Not Exile.
Yes. Destroy a non-land permanent opponent controls.
Yeah, so... I mean, you can still destroy like the Chris Boon. Sometimes that's good enough, but yeah. And also 7 mana is just quite a lot. Like you don't always have that. You also have to plan for games where you just like scrap around. And so usually when you have access to 7 mana, you can like you have enough stuff going on. You can find something else. But yeah, I think the Ratchet Bomb is something you can cut, or the Ooze is something you can cut. If Auras goes down in popularity, then maybe the Ratchet Bomb is the cut. Because I really like to have the ability to board in Oozes, so I think I would not go lower than 2. I've had 3 in the sideboard too, I kind of like that. But I want a space for both the Needle and the Ratchet Bomb right now. So
Ooze seems good when it's good. Like,
yep,
it's the best thing you can be doing, kind of thing.
definitely. It has like a very high ceiling. It can just like help you play those fair like low resource games very well. So I quite liked it, especially.
Your deck also doesn't suffer from being like too slow for turn 2 Scavenging Ooze. You know what I'm saying? Where like some decks run over Scavenging Ooze because it's slow, but you're a ramp deck, so you're often getting to play Ooze plus activate the same turn.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that definitely comes up. It's also kind of nice to have more things to cast off Emissary. That's another thing of like why I really like Florahedron. It's just so you can use the mana better. Anyway, I will sign off now.
All right. GG's well played.
GG's well played. See you next week. And hopefully on the MTG Insider at some point. Bye.
Yep. Bye.